Chapter 599. She doesn't know the answer. Chapter 599. She doesn't know the answer. Feng Wu was vexed, but the rest of the candidates were elated, especially the girls, who all had butterflies in their stomachs. His Royal Highness. He was here, and they were here in the same room with him. So close. This was something they could brag about for the rest of their lives. Even Xiao Yi was over the moon, to say nothing of the students. She couldn't help but speculate. Why would His Royal Highness agree? For whom? Mr. Liu had no idea that his suggestion had stirred up nearly all the female candidates here. With a wave of his hand, Mr. Liu said, "We won't need so many invigilators here. Xiao Yi, stay. The rest of you can leave now." Hence, the other invigilators left the hall. Feng brought in an armchair and put it right at the front of the hall. That was right opposite Feng Wu. The two people were less than 2 meters apart. Many girls were sick with jealousy. Why was Feng Wu the lucky one? On the other side, Mu Yaoyao was infatuated with the crown prince's chiseled profile. He was beautiful. She felt as if her soul had been stolen away. Why would His Royal Highness say yes? Of everyone in this room, Feng Wu was the one His Royal Highness hated the most, so there was no way that he was staying for her. Apart from Feng Wu, Mu Yaoyao deemed herself the prettiest girl with the best manners and from the finest background. The more she thought about it, the pinker her cheeks became. She thought her heart was going to jump out of her throat. But the crown prince never took his eyes off Feng Wu for one moment. The look he gave her was sharp, fierce, and stern. It was the look a beast gave its prey, very aggressive. Feng Wu took a deep breath. Read more chapter on novel full. Whatever. She would finish her exam first. She quickly finished the first 2 sections. That cheered her up a little, for she knew all the answers and was confident that she would get full marks for them. She then moved on to section 3, the multiple choice questions. The answer was only correct when all correct options and only the correct ones were selected. Moreover, most of the subjects covered in this section were from those 10,000 books. Feng Wu tended to lose points in this section. She was very careful and wanted to make sure that she got everything right. For not only did she have to be first, she had to get full marks. Question 1, done. Question 2, done. The problem was that Feng Wu still had 3 unread books from those 10,000, and she hoped that she was lucky enough to not run into anything she hadn't read. Question 8. Question 9. Up to the 9th question, Feng Wu was still confident that she had gotten everything right. Her head went blank when she read the 10th question. No, she hadn't read anything on the subject before. The only possibility was that it was from one of the 3 unread books. Feng Wu took a deep breath. She went through everything she had learned and racked her brain to find an answer. However, to her frustration, she couldn't find one. She knew nothing about this subject. She didn't have an answer. And that was a fact. This question, she wouldn't get any points. Chapter 600, Heart Racing. Chapter 600, Heart Racing. It would be much easier if all Feng Wu wanted was to get the highest mark of all the students, but she needed more than that. She had to get full marks. Otherwise, her broken star piece. Feng Wu took a deep breath. When she opened her eyes again, she stared at Jun Lin Yuan, looking disgruntled. She wouldn't be so helpless over this question if he hadn't made her slept. She was displeased. Jun Lin Yuan frowned. He had postponed Imperial College's entrance exam for her alone. Shouldn't she feel a debt of gratitude for his kind act and wag her tail at him like a puppy now? Instead, she was giving him attitude. That upset His Royal Highness right away. Feng Wu grunted inwardly, feeling as angry as she was aggrieved. She picked a random answer, then moved on to section 4. She made a mental note to come back to this question and give it another go once she finished all the other sections. Section 4 was Feng Wu's favorite. Analyzing techniques and manuals and coming up with innovations. This was practically handing marks to Feng Wu on a plate. She could already get full marks on questions like these when she was 5 years old. Section 5 was on auxiliary skills. And Feng Wu was even more confident about this section. She had more knowledge on auxiliary skills than experienced teachers in Imperial College, more so than the teachers who came up with these questions. No question they designed would be close enough to defeat Feng Wu, and she would get full marks without breaking a sweat. The entire exam took 4 hours in total, but it only took Feng Wu half an hour to finish all the questions. Once she was done with her own, she proceeded to Chowga's. Feng Tutu. Feng Tutu. Feng Wu closed her eyes and called Feng Tutu, who lay in Chowga's pocket, in her head. The cub had finally gotten enough sleep and woke up at Feng Wu's call. It rubbed its eyes and yawned. I'll speak and you'll write on Chowga's stomach. Understand? Feng Tutu talked to Feng Tutu in her head. Yeah, Feng Tutu nodded. Read more chapter on novel full. Feng Wu then began to deliver the answers, while Feng Tutu scratched everything on Chowga's stomach. Feng Tutu could write. Well, it couldn't before, but after a crash course from Feng Wu in the past few days, the little thing could write now. Chowga was thrilled. Finally, the answers. However, Jun Linyuan frowned at that moment. For as the most able man in the room, he had sensed the slightest fluctuation of spiritual essence. And it was between a person and an animal, instead of between two people. That was because, to prevent candidates from cheating, Imperial College had blocked all telepathic channels between people. It took Chowga a few minutes to finish answering the first question in Section 1. She was slowed down quite a bit, because she had to guess what Feng Tutu was writing. Jun Linyuan rose to his feet just as Feng Wu was about to send out the answer to the second question. That made Feng Wu jump a little. After all, she was cheating. However, she managed to keep her face calm and her eyes closed, as if she was resting. With his hands behind his back, Jun Linyuan walked from the first row to the last, and back again like any normal invigilator. He ended up stopping next to Feng Wu. Many girls almost dropped their pens in excitement at Jun Linyuan's reaction. They were so excited, so nervous, and so thrilled. Knock, knock, knock. Jun Linyuan tapped Feng Wu's desk with his long fingers. Feng Wu had to open her eyes. She raised her head and shot Jun Linyuan a warning glance. Chapter 601, She's Cheating. Chapter 601, She's Cheating. Jun Linyuan, stay out of my way. Leave me alone. She was warning him? TSK. The crown prince was displeased. He would have cut her some slack if she had pleaded nicely, but since she was still so proud. Little Feng Wu. Jun Linyuan cast a stern look at her. Answer your own paper and don't think about cheating. Answer your own paper and don't think about cheating. At those words, everyone was shocked. Feng Wu was practically killing Jun Linyuan with her eyes. He just couldn't let a day pass without making trouble for her. Could he? That's right. Jun Linyuan nodded at Feng Wu. Feng Wu almost exploded. What had she ever done to deserve such a man? Jun Linyuan went back to his chair, but still kept his sharp gaze on Feng Wu. Mu Yaoyao threw a dirty look at Feng Wu. Bitch, that woman had done everything to attract His Royal Highness's attention. She even pretended to be angry and impatient. How can anyone be that fake? Mu Yaoyao couldn't stand it anymore. His Royal Highness must be here because of me. Mu Yaoyao convinced herself in her head. Sensing Mu Yaoyao's gaze, Feng Wu darted an involuntary glance at Mu Yaoyao and looked at the latter's answer sheet in passing. Mu Yaoyao glared at Feng Wu. All of a sudden, she recalled what Jun Linyuan just said. It seemed that His Royal Highness really hated Feng Wu. He would have to remember her for her help if she tried to frame Feng Wu for him now. At that thought, Mu Yaoyao cried out, Feng Wu, why do you keep looking at my answer sheet? That startled all the candidates in the hall. What? Feng Wu was looking at Princess Mu's answer sheet. Feng Wu was speechless. How could this Mu Yaoyao be so shameless? However, Mu Yaoyao wasn't going to stop there. She had made up her mind to help His Royal Highness by ruining Feng Wu's reputation forever. Hence, Mu Yaoyao raised a hand. Your Royal Highness, Feng Wu is cheating. She's copying my answers. Wow, a tattler, right in the middle of an exam. Oh God, Feng Wu was so doomed. All eyes were on Jun Lin Yuan, and everyone waited for his verdict. Meanwhile, Jun Lin Yuan was looking at Feng Wu with a tiny smile on his face, which was so inscrutable that no one could guess what was going on in his head. Mr. Liu frowned. That Mu Yao Yao was an idiot. Did she have no idea what Feng Wu meant to Jun Lin Yuan? How did she have the guts to denigrate Feng Wu in front of His Royal Highness? Mr. Liu, Jun Lin Yuan, and even Xiao, he looked at Mu Yao Yao in resignation. It's true. Your Royal Highness, sir. I saw Feng Wu stealing glances at my paper, and she wrote down something after she looked. She was copying me. Mu Yao Yao said indignantly. The corner of Mr. Liu's mouth twitched. Xiao, he went to Feng Wu's desk to check her exam paper, then went to look at Mu Yao Yao's. Despite Xiao Yi's willingness to take Mu Yao Yao's side, all evidence was against this girl. Seeing the frown on Jun Lin Yuan's face and that Mu Yao Yao wouldn't let it drop, Xiao, he said in a hurry, Mu Yao Yao, that's not possible. Why not? Feng Wu copied me. I saw it with my own eyes. I have proof. Mu Yao Yao was exasperated. She knew how scheming this Xiao Yi was. This woman had been stealing glances at His Royal Highness all the time. Bitch. Chapter 602. Paper A and Paper B. Chapter 602. Paper A and Paper B. Xiao, he took a deep breath. Mu Yao Yao. First of all, there are two sets of the exam paper today. That is Paper A and Paper B. Candidates in adjacent columns are given different sets, so even if Feng Wu tried to copy your answer, she wouldn't be able to use it. Moreover, she has finished answering all her questions, and you're only on Section 2 at the moment. Xiao, he hated to take Feng Wu's side, but she had no choice when all the facts were laid out in front of her. Mu Yao Yao cried out in surprise. Paper A and Paper B? What's that about? That's never happened before. Feng Wu wanted to ask the same question. She felt utterly defeated by the news. She had planned everything out and was ready for all kinds of complications. She was sure that she could use Feng Tutu to send all the correct answers to Chaoga. Once she had finished answering her paper, all that was left to do was deliver the answers to Chaoga. But now they were telling her that she and Chaoga had different exam papers. Xiao, he wasn't able to answer Mu Yao Yao's question now, but luckily, Mr. Liu was here. He chuckled. Well, that's indeed a newly introduced measure this year. To prevent cheating, of course. Both sets are of the same difficulty, and everyone is still tested at the same level. Speaking of which, the suggestion actually came from His Royal Highness a few days ago, and we just happen to have a backup set of the exam paper ready. Jun Lin Yuan. No wonder even Grand Secretary Fong didn't know about this. This new method came from Jun Lin Yuan himself only a few days ago. Feng Wu felt like she had been played, and she was furious. Looking up, she stared at Jun Lin Yuan with a murderous look in her eyes. Well, the look on Feng Wu's face reminded Jun Lin Yuan of an infuriated cub of some beast. She didn't have any power, but she was aggressive and ready to explode. He loved to see this unyielding side of her. Looking back at her with a taunting expression on his face, Jun Lin Yuan grinned, feeling very pleased with himself. Kiddo, you're too young to play this game. Feng Wu gritted her teeth. That was why the crown prince of the empire had come to monitor an exam himself. And of all the halls out there, he had to pick hers and sit right opposite her. And that was why he had that smug look on his face. Read more chapter at VIP Novel. Feng Wu closed her eyes and took a deep breath. Calm down, calm down, calm down. Things were already going south, and she had to find a way to turn things around. After a few deep breaths, Feng Wu gradually came back to her senses. But it didn't change the fact that she was still mad. What should she do now? It was by sheer luck that Xiao Yi revealed the truth because of Mu Yao Yao's farce otherwise. Feng Wu's legs felt weak whenever she imagined what would happen if Chaoga had filled her answer sheet with answers for Paper A. That would really ruin Chaoga, for their enemies would grab the chance and use it against them. Chaoga was flabbergasted. Paper A. Paper B. She had Paper B, which meant that Xiao Wu had Paper A. Xiao Wu didn't even know what the questions for Paper B were. How would she be able to send Chaoga the correct answers? Chaoga scratched her head. It seemed that she had no choice but to admit her failure. But Feng Wu wasn't ready to give up. There had to be a way. Yes. Feng Wu's eyes lit up. She didn't have paper B, but Chaoga did. Feng Wu darted a glance at Chaoga. Huh? Chaoga was confused. Feng Wu looked at Chaoga and her unanswered exam paper in turn. Chapter 603, Jun Lin Yuan. Chapter 603, Jun Lin Yuan. All Chaoga needed to do was move her exam paper a little so that Feng Wu could read the questions. Feng Wu was very confident in her good memory, but Chaoga didn't get the hint. What? Feng Wu didn't know what to say. Ahem. Seeing the girl trying her tricks under his nose, Jun Lin Yuan was very amused. And she even shielded her face with her right hand, as if that could stop him from seeing what she was trying to do. Finally, Chaoga understood what Feng Wu wanted. She slowly raised her exam paper a little. Feng Wu memorized everything with a single glance. Before Feng Wu could proceed to the next section, Jun Lin Yuan rose to his feet and went up to her desk. He just happened to completely block Chaoga from Feng Wu's view. Feng Wu. Standing next to Feng Wu, Jun Lin Yuan picked up her paper and began to slowly flip through her answer sheets without leaving his spot. Feng Wu. She could tell that Jun Lin Yuan was doing it on purpose. Feng Wu glared at Jun Lin Yuan and bit her lower lip. She looked like a puffed-up balloon fish. She still had a little baby fat left on her cheeks, and her fair skin reminded him of steamed buns. They looked so adorable that Jun Lin Yuan wanted to give him a squeeze. But that was only in Jun Lin Yuan's head. The look on his face was as stern as ever. He went on reading Feng Wu's answers, and the more he read, the brighter his eyes became. She was indeed his girl. Her answers were impeccable. Are you done? Seeing that Jun Lin Yuan still wouldn't move, Feng Wu was worried sick. It had been 2 hours since the exam started, and Chaoga couldn't write very fast. If she didn't give Chaoga the answers now, she wouldn't be able to finish in time. But, at Feng Wu's words, all the candidates in the hall, boys and girls included, looked at her in resignation. She was talking to the crown prince of the empire. How could she sound so impatient? Anyone else would wish that His Royal Highness could stand by their side forever. But Feng Wu, what a poser! Overwhelmed with jealousy, Mu Yaoyao stared at Feng Wu with bloodshot eyes, wishing that she could tear the latter into pieces. Jun Lin Yuan kept his gaze on Feng Wu, and his mouth curved into an enigmatic smile. His eyes sparkled in the sunlight. The next second, Jun Lin Yuan grabbed Feng Wu's hand and yanked. Ah, Feng Wu cried out. However, before she could react, Jun Lin Yuan had dragged her away in large strides. From behind, he looked powerful, resolute, and puffed up with arrogance. That odd behavior astonished the other candidates again. Xiao Wu, seeing that Feng Wu was being dragged away, Chaoga rushed out to help her at once. However, Mr. Liu stopped her in time. Don't. Your score will be canceled if you step out of this hall now. But Chaoga ignored him and still ran toward Feng Wu. Feng Wu was stumbling after Jun Lin Yuan, but she still managed to call out over her shoulder, "Go back to your seat and finish your exam." Chaoga always listened to Feng Wu. Even Mr. Liu couldn't stop Chaoga, but she went back to her seat obediently at Feng Wu's instruction. Seeing that the crown prince had gone off with Feng Wu, Mu Yaoyao almost bit the tip of her pen off. Feng Wu. Many of the girls cursed under their breaths. Chapter 604. Picking on her is his greatest hobby. Chapter 604. Picking on her is his greatest hobby. She was just a pretty face. It was so shameless of her to seduce His Royal Highness like that. They were too busy feeling jealous of Feng Wu to notice that she had been taken away against her will. Jun Lin Yuan dragged Feng Wu out. Once they were out of the exam hall, Feng Wu threw Jun Lin Yuan's hand off and yelled at him, "Jun Lin Yuan, what have I done to deserve your torture?" Jun Lin Yuan glared at Feng Wu with a livid face. Feng Wu turned to leave. He couldn't remove her from an exam just because he wanted to. Feng Wu walked in the front, and Jun Lin Yuan followed her in silence. Because everyone was taking the exam, the usually boisterous college was as quiet as the middle of the night. When they walked past the next building, Fengwu looked over her shoulder to find Jun Linyuan still following her. She flared up again. She was so mad at Jun Linyuan just then that she almost forgot about Chaoga, who was still taking the exam. Fengwu spotted another exam hall on the way, and she was struck by an idea. She could get someone else's exam paper, and she would be able to send the answers to Chaoga. Problem solved. However, Jun Linyuan was following her everywhere, leaving her with no chance to carry out her plan. Therefore, Fengwu deliberately tried to set Jun Linyuan off so that he would storm off at some point. "You're the crown prince of the empire, for God's sake. Why are you following me around? It's bad for your reputation, you know?" Fengwu tried to provoke Jun Linyuan. "So, is this your plan to drive me away?" Jun Linyuan pressed close, and Fengwu stepped back. There was a door behind Fengwu, and she was cornered. Resting his right palm on the door, Jun Linyuan confined Fengwu in the space between his arm and the wall. He leaned over, and Fengwu turned her face away. His warm lips brushed against her cheek, leaving behind a burning sensation. Despite the anger she exhibited, Fengwu was actually moving her hands swiftly behind her back to unlock the door. That was right. As a matter of fact, Fengwu and Jun Linyuan were right outside Mr. Lu's office. Since she couldn't drive Jun Linyuan away, Fengwu's only choice was to lead him to the principal's office in the hope that Mr. Lu would have the sample exam paper stored here. When Jun Linyuan leaned over again, Fengwu finally unlocked the door. She spun around and deftly jumped away from Jun Linyuan. Jun Linyuan, you won't get what you want this time." To Fengwu's disappointment, Jun Linyuan reacted so quickly that as soon as Fengwu jumped away, he moved after her. Fengwu looked up to find Jun Linyuan right in front of her. "Ah!" Fengwu cried out and stumbled back. Jun Linyuan smirked and fixed his brooding gaze on Fengwu. "Little Fengwu, that's very bold of you." "No, it's not." Fengwu kept stepping back. But she knew where she was going. She had glanced at the table the moment she rushed into the office. That was where the file should be. As expected, Fengwu spotted a thick manila folder on the desk. Fengwu's first reaction was that it was the exam paper. But Jun Linyuan would doubtlessly see through her plan if she headed for it right away. She knew Jun Linyuan too well. His greatest hobby was picking on her, and he had set her up 100 times. Hence, it was pivotal that she kept her plan from him. Chapter 605, Stay Away From Me. Chapter 605, Stay Away From Me. Hence, Fengwu kept falling back. Jun Linyuan narrowed his eyes, stared at his prey, and pressed close. Stay away from me. Fengwu had reached the desk with her palms on the edge, but Jun Linyuan kept moving closer. In order to stay out of his reach, Fengwu bent backward. But Jun Linyuan was still coming her way. In the end, Fengwu was almost lying on her back on the desk. As soon as her fingers made contact with the folder, Fengwu stuffed it into her ring. "Ah!" Fengwu cried out all of a sudden. Jun Linyuan looked at Fengwu in confusion. Fengwu shoved Jun Linyuan away and rushed toward the door, but Jun Linyuan caught her by her wrist. "I need to go pee. Let go." With another push, Fengwu broke free. She rushed into the toilet in the office as swiftly as a rabbit and slammed the door behind her. Jun Linyuan was speechless. Meanwhile, in Fengwu's exam hall, Fengwu's paper had been taken in already. Mr. Lu was going to leave, but he stopped after glancing at Fengwu's answers. Picking up the answer sheets, he read the first word to the last, and his eyes lit up. That girl was amazing. She was a genius, and she was going to become a student of Imperial College. Mr. Lu was elated at that thought. If Fengwu was this good, what about her friend? Back then, little Chaoga was a smart girl herself. With that expectation, Mr. Lu walked toward Chaoga's desk. He could barely control the smile on his face. However, as soon as he saw Chaoga's paper, one look, and he almost had a heart attack. Mr. Lu was petrified. It was completely blank. Well, she had answered the first question, but she had crossed out the answer beyond recognition. After that, there was nothing. The pages were all left blank. Patting his chest, he took a deep breath. At that moment, he saw that the principal looked like he was about to faint, and she hurried near, following Mr. Lu's eyes. One look, and Xiao Yi's eyes popped out. Blank, blank, blank. Not one question was answered. Duan Chaoga. You. He looked at Duan Chaoga, as if the latter had lost her mind. Answer the questions. Duan Chaoga felt like crying. She wanted to, but she knew next to nothing. What was she supposed to write? She didn't understand a single question here. You only have less than half the time left. Don't tell me you're going to hand in blank answer sheets. He stared at Chaoga. Are you trying to protest against the school or something? He was furious. Duan Xiaoyin snickered. Miss Duan Chaoga is always like this. It's not that she's trying to make a point. She's just ignorant. What? He stared at Duan Chaoga in disbelief. It couldn't be. Mr. Lu was equally surprised. Xiao was such a brilliant girl that he couldn't believe Chaoga would hand in blank sheets. No way. Mr. Lu, it's true. Duan Chaoga is an idiot. She always gets 0 marks in her exams. Having her here is a joke. Duan Xiaoyin guffawed. Duan Chaoga. She pounded her fist on the desk and glared at Duan Xiaoyin with bloodshot eyes. What? Am I not telling the truth? Asked Duan Xiaoyin. Chapter 606, Each to Their Own Home. Chapter 606, Each to Their Own Home. Chaoga was so mad. She couldn't retort because Duan Xiaoyin was telling the truth. She couldn't answer a single question. Ha! Duan Chaoga. How dare an idiot like you take the exam? Duan Xiaoyin went on writing down her answers as she spoke. Compared to Chaoga, Duan Xiaoyin had been preparing for this exam for years. Looking from a distance, at least all the blanks on her answer sheets had been filled in. Chaoga was so mad, but she couldn't talk back. She jumped to her feet. Duan Xiaoyin smirked. You don't know the answers, and it's my fault? If I were you, I'd leave this room at this moment. Mr. Lu looked at Duan Xiaoyin, wondering which family this mean girl was from. Looking down, Mr. Lu darted a look at her exam paper. Duan Xiaoyin? Judging by the name, she was Chaoga's sister. Mr. Lu frowned. Silence. Everyone quieted down right away and went back to writing. You, sit down and finish your paper. Mr. Lu stared at Chaoga. Chaoga sat down, still disgruntled. However, she knew all the words on the paper, but put them together, and she didn't know what they were asking. Behind her, Duan Xiaoyin and Duan Xiaoyin exchanged looks and gloated. The sun would have to rise from the west before Duan Chaoga could write down anything. However, at that moment, Chaoga shuddered all of a sudden. She then picked up her pen and started writing. Many were still laughing at Chaoga's predicament. Read more chapter on novel full. But they saw that she had begun to answer the questions. She wrote down the answers without even reading the questions. Everyone was shocked. Mr. Lu, who had given up on Chaoga, turned his gaze back to her. He stood there and watched Chaoga write. Whoosh! Chaoga wrote with a steady hand, and all her answers were correct. That, Mr. Lu was astonished. Was that even possible? Section 1. Section 2. Section 3. Mr. Lu watched as Chaoga filled in all the blanks. He suddenly said, You're writing down your answers without looking at the questions. Chaoga's stomach lurched and her back stiffened. Luckily, she reacted quickly and said, I've memorized all the questions. I don't need to read them again. Mr. Lu. Ding. The bell signaling the end rang the moment Chaoga put down her pen. Satisfied, Chaoga smacked her paper on the desk. Done. She stretched her arms and had never felt this at ease. Duan Xiaoyin smirked. You? Done? I bet you made everything up. The others laughed with her. Mr. Lu could have left much earlier, but he stayed until the end to watch Chaoga answer her paper. Right now, he gave Duan Xiaoyin a meaningful look before strolling off. Duan Xiaoyin was bewildered. Had she said something wrong? Everyone went back home after the exam. Chaoga returned to the Feng Manor with Feng Wu. Seeing Feng Wu and Feng Lu come back together, Feng Yinfeng was confused. He asked Feng Lu, Did Xiao Wu go see you off at the exam venue? Chapter 607. 607 Run Like the Wind. 607 Run Like the Wind. Feng Yuan and Feng Sang were both at home today, and both turned to look at Feng Wu in unison. Feng Lu and Lady Wang smirked. See me off? Since when is she so nice? All right. Feng Yinfeng lost interest right away. He was the minister of the Ministry of Official Personnel now, replacing Sir Yin. He had never been in such high and vigorous spirits, and it felt like he was walking on clouds all the time. Speaking of which, Feng Yinfeng had to thank Feng Wu for it, which was why he didn't dare fall out with her. Lady Wang, on the other hand, wouldn't leave Feng Wu alone. She dropped the bomb straight away. Feng Wu almost ruined the reputation of the entire clan today. Feng Yinfeng could live with anything, but not when the reputation of the Feng clan was at stake. What happened? Crossing his hands behind his back, Feng Yinfeng frowned, darted a look at Feng Wu, then turned to Lady Wang. Lady Wang smirked. What happened? Huh. She went to Imperial College today as well. Feng Yinfeng frowned. So what if she did? Why can't she? Huh. Then ask your dear niece what she was doing there. Lady Wang looked furious. Feng Yinfeng frowned and thought to himself. Was Xiao Wu there to find herself a potential husband? Ahem. As shameful as that sounded, it was understandable. It would do the Feng clan good if she married into a good family. However, Lady Wang answered the question herself. She was there to take the exam. What? Feng Yinfeng thought he heard wrong and looked at Lady Wang in confusion. Lady Wang snorted. Yes, you heard me. Your dear niece was there as an exam candidate. Ha ha! Feng Yinfeng burst out laughing right away. My lady, you're very funny. Xiao Wu has no spiritual essence whatsoever, and she's nowhere near a level 9 spiritual master, which is the entry requirement for Imperial College. How could she take the exam? Feng Yinfeng thought his wife was nuts. Lady Wang smirked. How am I supposed to know what your niece is capable of? She actually got an exam permit. Feng Yinfeng's eyes flickered. Are you being serious? Do I look like I'm joking? I wish I was. But in fact, I'm telling the truth. Your niece is really a piece of work. Lady Wang said as she walked in, and her tone was most unpleasant. Feng Yinfeng frowned, then turned to Feng Wu. How did you get your exam permit? Crossing her hands behind her, Feng Wu straightened her back and said proudly, I got you that ministerial position, didn't I? After that, do you think a mere exam permit would be a problem for me? Feng Yinfeng stiffened. By the way, uncle, when am I going to receive my 10,000 taels of silver? Feng Wu glanced at Feng Yinfeng with a half-smile on her face. Feng Yinfeng said, Well, kiddo, that's so sudden. Well, I have some errands to run. See you around. He slunk off after that. Feng Wu smiled a little. She wasn't worried about Feng Yinfeng defaulting on the debt at all. In fact, she would be concerned if he did pay her back. Feng Wu and Chaoga then went back to Fallen Star Yard. Sister, how did it go? Feng Xiaoqi ran toward them like the wind. Feng Wu smiled. I did great, of course. Yeah, I knew it. My sister is the best. Sister, they're placing bets out there, and I put all my money on you. Chapter 608. 608, can I get full marks? 608, can I get full marks? What? Feng Wu was bewildered. People are actually placing bets on that. Of course they are. The gambling houses began to place wagers while you were taking the exam. Sister, those people are so stupid. Everyone put their money on you not passing the exam, and the odds against you are sky high. Feng Xiaoqi's cheeks were flushed with excitement. How high exactly? Feng Wu asked in resignation. It's 1:1. 1 on you failing the exam, and 1:100 on you passing it, but everyone put their money on you failing it. Sister, do you have money to spare? I only have 10 silver coins, and that's too little. Sister, Feng Xiaoqi took Feng Wu's hand and swayed her arm back and forth. Feng Wu sighed. Here are 10,000 silver coins. Have a little fun, but don't gamble too much. 10,000 silver coins was a little fun. Feng Xiaoqi was thrilled. He grabbed the bag and dashed off. Miss, is 10,000 enough? How about we take the chance? And Chilling was as excited as Xiaoqi. Feng Wu shook her head. Gambling occasionally can soothe the mind, but overdoing it will become a vice. Xiaoqi can have a little fun, and that's it. Putting too much money into it would bring about too much trouble in the future, which Feng Wu didn't want to deal with. Moreover, what was under Grand Secretary Feng's manor was worth so much more. At that thought, Feng Wu jumped over the wall to look for the old man. Grand Secretary Feng was marveling at some flowers under a tree when Feng Wu got there. He beckoned her over. "Kiddo, come over here." Feng Wu ran over happily and grinned. "Old Master Feng, you want to speak with me?" "Yes." Grand Secretary Feng then turned to walk into the room. Feng Wu followed him right away. Grand Secretary Feng took out an exam paper and handed it to Feng Wu. "There, finish this." Feng Wu knew that the old man was going to correct today's exam paper for her. Without another word, Feng Wu sat down and started writing down the answers. It took her less than 15 minutes to write down everything from memory. Blowing the ink dry, Feng Wu handed in the paper. "Old Master, there you go." Grand Secretary Feng began to correct it right there and then. As he ticked one answer after another, Feng Wu was a little fidgety, for she wasn't sure about one of the multiple-choice questions. Then Grand Secretary Feng proceeded to that section. Feng Wu thought her heart was going to stop. Was today her lucky day? Section 3 contained 10 multiple-choice questions. Grand Secretary Feng paused a little at the last question, then he put a tick next to the answer. Feng Wu. She finally thought she could breathe again. After that, she was overwhelmed with ecstasy. She made a wild guess, and it was correct. And it was a multiple-choice question on a subject she knew nothing about. It was purely a guess. "Old Master, I really got that one right?" Feng Wu felt as if she was dreaming. "Of course." The old man darted a look at her. "Are you not sure about your answer?" "I guessed that one." Feng Wu told the truth. The old man didn't know what to say. He gave Feng Wu a long, brooding, and indecipherable look, then went back to correcting her paper. Correct, correct, correct. All the answers after that were correct. Her handwriting was neat, and her logic was coherent. She didn't write a single unnecessary word. It was impeccable. The old man didn't know what to say. "Old Master, do you think I can get full marks?" That was Feng Wu's main concern. "That's hard to tell." The old man shook his head. Chapter 609, Feng Wu as viewed by Emperor Wu. Chapter 609, Feng Wu as viewed by Emperor Wu. But why? Feng Wu wasn't convinced. Jun Linyuan's threat was real. She had to get full marks, or her broken star piece would be. Grand Secretary Feng grumpily jabbed Feng Wu's forehead with a finger. "Kiddo, you're asking for too much. Why do you need full marks?" In an essay question like this, no matter how excellent your answer is, a point or two will end up being deducted. Forget about full marks. Really? Feng Wu looked crestfallen. Grand Secretary Feng was disgruntled. "What more can full marks do for you? You'll still get the highest score in the exam. Isn't that enough for you?" "But I have my reasons," Feng Wu wailed. "You have to get full marks?" "Yes." "And what if you can't?" "Then I'd rather die." Feng Wu looked like a deflated balloon. Grand Secretary Feng was then lost in thought and didn't speak for a while. "Old Master," Feng Wu was about to say something, but the old man waved her off. "Off you go. You'll see how you did when the results are published." After Feng Wu left, Grand Secretary Feng took the paper she just wrote to the Imperial Palace. The Imperial Palace. Emperor Wu had thought that he would never get to see Grand Secretary Feng again after the old man retired. However, the old man sent a message to ask for an audience today. Emperor Wu went to greet the old man at the gate. "My dear subject, do come in." Come to think of it, Grand Secretary Feng used to be Emperor Wu's teacher when the emperor was still a crown prince. Hence, Emperor Wu had always had great respect for the old man. Grand Secretary Feng cupped his fists at Emperor Wu as soon as he entered the hall. "Your Majesty, congratulations." "Huh?" Emperor Wu was elated. "For what?" "Your Majesty, congratulations on discovering another genius in our empire." Grand Secretary Feng couldn't suppress the excitement in his voice. Another? Genius? Emperor Wu was delighted. Fong, do tell me about it. Your Majesty, Imperial College's entrance exam took place today. I know. I came up with the last few questions myself. In that case, Your Majesty, please have a look at these answers. Grand Secretary Fong then carefully placed Feng Wu's paper on Emperor Wu's table. Exactly how talented was this person to make Grand Secretary Fong so excited? Emperor Wu darted a suspicious look at Grand Secretary Fong, picked up the exam paper, and glanced at it. One look, and he was surprised. Such nice handwriting. Each stroke was full and powerful, and all the characters were of the same size. It was so neat that it looked better than a printed work. Nice handwriting. Emperor Wu already liked the person before reading the answers. Of course, said Grand Secretary Fong proudly, as if he was the one being complimented. I taught the person myself. Fong, did you take in another pupil? Emperor Wu knew how strict Grand Secretary Fong was, and only a handful of people were talented enough for the old man to consider them. Pupil. Grand Secretary Fong gave him a wry smile. I wish I had such a pupil. Unfortunately, I'm not qualified enough. Even a great scholar and an experienced politician like Grand Secretary Fong considered himself not good enough to be this person's teacher. Could anyone be that talented? Emperor Wu began to read the answers. Everything in Section 1 was right. Emperor Wu couldn't get enough of the handwriting. It was said that one could tell what a person was like from their handwriting, and this one had to be a really good-looking person. Emperor Wu was pleased, and he read on. Section 2, full marks again. The more he read, the more pleased Emperor Wu became. This is a great kid, so well-grounded in basic skills. Chapter 610, Genius. Chapter 610, Genius. After praising the answers, Emperor Wu turned to Grand Secretary Fong. I can tell how prudent and tenacious this kid is. I deliberately chose an uncommon extract from an annotation, but this kid still got it right. Grand Secretary Fong nodded inwardly. Xiao Wu was as hard-working as she was pretty. He had never met anyone more industrious. Emperor Wu moved on to Section 3. The multiple-choice questions. Wait a minute. Emperor Wu cried out in surprise. Candidates lose marks in this section all the time. They pick the wrong option, they don't pick all the correct options, or they leave one correct option out. But this kid... Emperor Wu looked at Grand Secretary Fong in amazement. This kid got everything right. Despite so many candidates taking the exam every year, Emperor Wu didn't think he had met many people who got full marks on the first 3 sections. Grand Secretary Fong gloated and said proudly, Your Majesty, you're only on Section 3. Please read on. Judging by Grand Secretary Fong's attitude, could this kid get everything right in Section 4 as well? No way. Section 4 was an essay question, and everyone would lose marks here. Emperor Wu read the answer attentively, trying to find the tiniest mistake. The question required the candidate to analyze the theory and application of the cracking ground stance, then try to make innovations to it. The answer was so well organized and logically solid in the analysis of its theory that one couldn't find any excuse to deduct any marks. Moreover, Emperor Wu couldn't bring himself to deduct any when the candidate had such nice handwriting. As for the innovation part, Emperor Wu's eyes widened. Wait, the stance could actually be improved in such a way. Destruction before construction. This kid was so dauntless. But he had to admit that after her improvement, the power of cracking ground indeed, as a mage with the earth attribute himself, Emperor Wu knew better than anyone else how brilliant this innovation was. Emperor Wu looked at Grand Secretary Fong in disbelief. This really came from kid? Yes, a 13-year-old kid. Grand Secretary Fong smiled. He was laughing inwardly at Emperor Wu's shocked face. Grand Secretary Fong had been equally shocked when he read the girl's answer for the first time and had taken a while to recover. And that was exactly what Emperor Wu was going through at the moment. Grand Secretary Fong felt so pleased. Hence, He mentioned Feng Wu's age on purpose. A 13-year-old. Emperor Wu smacked the table. The kid is only 13? It can't be. To make improvements to cracking ground required a lot of background information, and one had to be able to see the big picture to carry it out. The kid really is 13. Well, almost 14. Crossing his hands behind his back, Grand Secretary Fong raised his chin and felt ennobled. Emperor Wu was thrilled. She is so talented. There's no doubt about it. This is wonderful. Grand Secretary Fong nodded. That was right. Emperor Wu mumbled. How am I supposed to take any marks away? I have no reason to. Grand Secretary Fong nodded again. I agree with you, Your Majesty. Driven by his excitement, Emperor Wu moved on to the final section. The last two questions were on auxiliary skills, and candidates often performed terribly here. After all, not everyone paid much attention to these skills, and even if they wanted to, they had to have the potential first. However, to Emperor Wu's disbelief, Chapter 611, A Genius. No doubt about it. Chapter 611, A Genius. No doubt about it. This paper. The answer to the medicine question was absolutely correct, and so was the one on formations. Smack. Emperor Wu pounded the table with his fist and cried out in excitement. Everything is correct. Everything. Grand Secretary Fong, the kid, got everything right, and his answers are more precise than the standard ones. Look, he even came up with 2 solutions here, and he wrote that he could provide a third one if necessary. That's incredible. Emperor Wu had wondered at first if this kid might have copied his answers from somewhere. However, he abandoned that thought completely, because the kid's answers were more accurate than the standard answers. The full mark was 300, and these answers were definitely worth more than that. The kid should be given more than 300 marks. Emperor Wu had only seen such talent in one other person before, and that was Jun Linyuan. Tugging at Grand Secretary Fong's sleeve excitedly, Emperor Wu said, Fong, who is this kid? Which family is he from? Quickly, bring him to me. I want to meet him. Instead of giving him an answer, Grand Secretary Fong asked, Your Majesty, do you think this kid can be given full marks? Yes, of course. Emperor Wu smacked his palm on the table and was almost agitated. After being an examiner for so many years, have you seen better answers than these? Grand Secretary Fong said, That's because His Royal Highness has never taken the exam. He doesn't count. Apart from him, have you seen anyone else give better answers than this kid? Emperor Wu was so excited that his eyes popped. Well, no, Grand Secretary Fong said honestly. Last year, the top candidate only got 250. I think the best in the past few years scored somewhere between 270 and 280. Yes, elated, Emperor Wu patted Grand Secretary Fong on the shoulder. Fong, you really are my most helpful subject. This teenager is so talented. Now bring him here. Emperor Wu rubbed his hands expectantly. If you can't take him in as a pupil, I will. Ha ha ha. If he does well, I'll marry my third daughter to him. Keep in the family, right? The old man didn't know what to say. Fong, why do you look so phased? Isn't he only 13? Is he already engaged? That kid. Grand Secretary Fong gave Emperor Wu a strange look. Well, that kid was engaged once, but it was annulled. Nonsense. Emperor Wu pounded his desk. You should never look down on a teenager because of his lack of wealth. With that talent, he will have such a promising future. How could anyone even think about breaking a marriage contract with him? The other family will regret it so much when the exam results are out. The old man didn't know what to say. Emperor Wu patted Grand Secretary Fong on the shoulder. Well, the other family might be blind, but I'm not. I'll marry Wu Xia to him later. I have to get my hands on this brilliant kid before someone else wants him for their daughter. By the way, Fong, what's the kid's name? The old man didn't know what to say. What's with that look on your face? Emperor Wu looked at Grand Secretary Fong in bewilderment. Grand Secretary Fong kept his silence. Emperor Wu thought, Fine, don't tell me. I can remove the sticker on the paper myself. Chapter 612. It's really her. Chapter 612. It's really her. There came a tearing sound, and Emperor Wu removed the sticker on the paper. Wait, that's a girl's name. Emperor Wu found the name a little strange, and he gave it a closer look. Feng Wu? She has the same name as that Feng Wu from back then. Are all girls named Feng Wu this smart? Grand Secretary Feng stared at Emperor Wu without blinking. Emperor Wu turned to Grand Secretary Feng in bewilderment and met the latter's eyes. All of a sudden, an idea struck him. Feng Wu. Emperor Wu stared at Grand Secretary Feng in disbelief. Feng Wu? Don't tell me that it's the Feng Wu. Of course, Emperor Wu was agitated. He was the one who broke off the marital engagement back then. Emperor Wu thought that Feng Wu was no longer engaged to his son, but in fact, Jun Lin Yuan hadn't given his consent to the cancellation at the last minute. Grand Secretary Feng gave him a solemn nod. It's really her? Emperor Wu looked like he had been struck by lightning and was dazed on the spot. This is her paper. Grand Secretary Feng nodded again. Emperor Wu stumbled back and became lost in thought. It had been years since he heard Feng Wu's name. It's her. Her. No wonder. Emperor Wu darted a look at Grand Secretary Feng, then said, even back then, she was an amazing, talented girl. No one was nearly as brilliant as she was. Unfortunately, she got greedy and pushed herself over the limit, which messed up her cultivation and she lost all her abilities. She was crippled after that. Too greedy? Push herself over the limit? Grand Secretary Feng shook his head. He had been indifferent to such rumors before meeting Feng Wu. However, once he knew Feng Wu well enough, Grand Secretary Feng shook his head with a wry smile. That girl was too smart and meticulous to bring that on herself. There had to be something else behind it. Feng, has that girl regained her abilities? Emperor Wu asked. That question put Grand Secretary Feng in a difficult position. He knew for a fact that Feng Wu could cultivate now, and she was leveling up at a frantic pace. However, Grand Secretary Feng recalled what Feng Wu had told him. The enemy was still lurking in the dark, trying to kill her. Since Grand Secretary Feng didn't produce an immediate answer, Emperor Wu took it as silent confirmation of his speculation. He sighed. What a pity. We lost such a genius just like that. Grand Secretary Feng gestured at the paper. Her talent isn't lost. Emperor Wu agreed. You're right. Her understanding and innovation of the stances alone is proof enough of her prominence. We haven't lost her talent. Emperor Wu was secretly overwhelmed by his guilty conscience. The cancellation of the engagement was carried out in such haste that he wasn't able to help her. Emperor Wu's eyes flickered as he looked down at the paper. Grand Secretary Feng thought to himself, Xiao Wu has changed Emperor Wu's opinion of her through her answers alone. His Majesty will be thrilled if he knows that she can cultivate again. However, Grand Secretary Feng had promised Feng Wu that he wouldn't tell anyone else, and he had to keep the secret for now. Imperial College. After the initial filtering, 10,000 candidates qualified to take the exam. Among them, 1,000 would be chosen from the written exam. These 1,000 would be ranked by their scores from the highest to the lowest. The teachers of Imperial College were busy correcting the exam papers. The candidates' names were always covered with stickers. The chief examiner was supposed to be Mr. Liu. After all, the entrance exam was one of the biggest events of Imperial College every year. Chapter 613, Not Good. Chapter 613, Not Good. However, Mr. Liu had had an epiphany today and had gone into seclusion. Hence, Mr. Zhua, the deputy principal, became the chief examiner instead. If Feng Wu were here today, she would recognize Mr. Zhua right away, for he was among those who had attacked her 5 years ago. The exam papers were divided into 10 batches, and each teacher was to correct 1,000 exam papers. The teacher for the 9th group was Mr. Wu, whose family was connected to the Zhua family by marriage. One look at this exam paper, and he was struck with awe. The answers were perfect. Who on earth was this candidate? He had no idea that such a brilliant student existed in the Empire. Mr. Wu knew how the stickers were put on, and he managed to remove a corner without tearing the exam paper. His heart skipped a beat as soon as he took a peek at the name. Feng Wu. It couldn't be. Mr. Wu knew about Feng Wu taking part in the exam, for everyone had heard about the incident with the authenticity of the exam permit before the exam started. Feng Wu? How can it be? Mr. Wu was so curious that he removed the sticker a little bit further. He then saw the serial number on the paper. OMG! Mr. Wu nearly fainted. The serial number read 10001. Feng Wu entered the exam on recommendation, and she was in addition to the 10,000 candidates, hence the 10001. And that was precisely the number on her exam paper. Mr. Wu's hands jolted, and he almost knocked over the inkstone on his desk. Mr. Wu, Mr. Zhao, who sat opposite Mr. Wu, looked at him in bewilderment. Are you all right? Mr. Wu broke into a cold sweat. I'm fine. Just hungry, I guess. You don't say. Our workload is unbelievable. To finish correcting all these exam papers in 3 days, we'll have to work around the clock. Well, we're halfway done, at least. Mr. Wu nodded. He was talking to Mr. Zhao, but he didn't hear anything Mr. Zhao said. He was overwhelmed with astonishment. This paper. Mr. Wu, how are your candidates doing? Anyone good? Mr. Zhao complained. Mine aren't doing great at all. The questions are so hard this year that I don't think we'll have many high scores. Mr. Wu said involuntarily, Yeah, I haven't seen any exceptional candidates either. After that, Mr. Wu went back to staring at the paper and tried to think. Wait, 10001. If he could find the paper with the serial number 1000, he could easily replace Feng Wu's paper with it. An evil idea took root in Mr. Wu's head. He had been trying to get the position of deputy dean. With Mr. Liu in seclusion, it would be down to Mr. Zhua, the deputy principal, to make the decision. The Zhua family would never stand to see Feng Wu rise. Back then, although the Zhua family had done everything they could to cover up the truth, Mr. Wu was among those who knew what really happened. Should he take the risk? Mr. Wu was conflicted. Looking up, he saw Mr. Zhao opposite him. Mr. Zhao was older, more experienced, and more capable. Moreover, Mr. Zhao was one of his main competitors for this position. At that thought, Mr. Wu moved into action, and it was his lucky day. The paper with the serial number 1000 just happened to be in his stack. Seriously? What a happy coincidence. Mr. Wu was shocked himself. Someone up there was doing him a favor. If this candidate number 1000 just happened to fail the exam, well, thinking that, Mr. Wu flipped through this exam paper. Chapter 614. What happened to the genius's paper? Chapter 614. What happened to the genius's paper? Mr. Wu didn't know what to say when he read through exam paper number 1000. The candidate had answered every question fully, but only got 179. The score wasn't even high enough to pass the exam, let alone be ranked among the top 1,000. Feng Wu, don't blame me. You're just unlucky. At that thought, Mr. Wu looked around to make sure that no one was paying attention to his corner. Then, he quietly removed Feng Wu's paper from the stack and stashed it in his chest pocket. After that, he changed the 1000 to 10001. The exam papers were registered by serial number, and the actual names of the candidates were irrelevant. Feng Wu didn't know that her paper had been taken away. No one did, except for Mr. Wu. Soon, all the exam papers had been marked. The failures were sealed away while the top 1000 were sent to court for the emperor to look through. The emperor had never requested to see the exam papers before, and it would have been all up to Mr. Zhua. However, this year His Majesty had sent his personal steward over to pick up the 1000 exam papers. But only Mr. Liu knew about this. The junior teachers, such as Mr. Wu, didn't have that information. Right now, Mr. Wu was knocking on Mr. Zhua's door with Feng Wu's paper in his pocket. Mr. Zhua frowned, but still let the man in. Mr. Wu hesitated. Mr. Zhua grew impatient. Speak now, or get out. Sir, This, Mr. Wu hinted with his eyes. Mr. Zhuo was about to kick Mr. Wu out when the latter whispered, Feng Wu. That name was a big taboo in the Zhuo family. Go make us some tea. Mr. Zhuo instructed his servant. Once the servant was gone, Mr. Wu took the exam paper from his pocket and laid it carefully on Mr. Zhuo's table. What's this? Instead of looking at the paper, Mr. Zhuo stared at Mr. Wu. Mr. Wu smiled obsequiously. This is Feng Wu's exam paper. Mr. Zhuo didn't let his face betray anything. He cast a stern look at Mr. Wu, then picked up the paper. He frowned as soon as he recognized the texture of the paper and the text format. It's Feng Wu's paper for the entrance exam. I happened to come across it when I was correcting the papers, so I took it out, said Mr. Wu in satisfaction. Mr. Zhuo stared at the paper. He didn't think much of it first, but soon the frown on his face grew bigger. Because it was a perfect, impeccable paper. It was unbelievable. There were no mistakes at all in Section 1. In Section 2, in Section 3, in Section 4, in Section 5. I can't deduct a single point from the answers. Mr. Wu had read through Feng Wu's paper and had tried his best to find some error in her answers, but couldn't. It's perfect, flawless. Mr. Zhuo could do nothing but compliment the answers, and his mouth fell open in amazement. Even he, the deputy principal of Imperial College and a superior cultivator, was astonished by Feng Wu's answers. That was how outstanding her answers were. Such a talented girl, such a talented girl. Mr. Zhuo then thought of Zhuo Qingwan, for he was none other than Zhuo Qingwan's uncle. Chapter 615, Shocked. Chapter 615, Shocked. The entire Zhuo family had put everything they had into training Zhuo Qingwan. Would she be able to do a better job if she was the one answering these questions? Yes, of course she would. Mr. Zhuo clenched his fists and told himself so. However, deep down, a voice was telling him that no, Zhuo Qingwan wouldn't be able to do it. Mr. Zhuo was about to put Feng Wu's paper away. When he had the chance, he would deliver it to Zhuo Qingwan. However, he looked up and saw Mr. Wu, who was still here. Right now, Mr. Wu was looking at Mr. Zhuo with an ingratiating smile on his face. Mr. Zhuo frowned. How did you get out? Mr. Wu told him how he had removed the paper from the stack and added in a complacent tone, Sir, please don't worry. Those who fail the exam will only be able to check their results according to their serial numbers. No one will know what name is on the paper. Moreover, His Royal Highness dislikes Feng Wu so much. It will only please him to see Feng Wu out, right? Mr. Wu grinned. Idiot, Mr. Zhuo growled. Mr. Wu didn't have all the information, but as one of the bosses of the college, Mr. Zhuo knew that Feng Wu was here with recommendation letters from 3 members of the college. And the 3 people were Mr. Liu, Grand Secretary Feng, and Priest Wu. Mr. Liu was in seclusion and wouldn't be a problem for now. But neither Grand Secretary Feng nor Priest Wu were easy to fool. If either of the 2 were well acquainted with Feng Wu and decided to get to the bottom of this, they would find out as soon as they checked the actual exam paper. When that happened, Mr. Liu would go to the Emperor and Mr. Zhuo himself would so get fired. At that thought, Mr. Zhuo shook his head. No, we can't do this. Mr. Wu cried out. Why not? Feng Wu will definitely get all the attention if we put the paper back. By then, if His Majesty finds her exceptional, and with Miss Qingwan away, what if His Majesty wants to marry Feng Wu to His Royal Highness? Mr. Zhuo's stomach lurched. His gaze shifted to the paper on his desk. It was too perfect. The one thing Mr. Zhuo was sure of was that Feng Wu had lost her cultivation ability for good. She would never be able to cultivate again. However, she had managed to find another way around this problem by making great achievements in cultivation theory. Mr. Wu did have a point. Mr. Zhuo took the paper, went into another room, and soon returned with another set, the ink on it still wet. He said coldly, "Take this one back." Mr. Wu saw that it was another exam paper with the serial number 10001. The name was Feng Wu, and the handwriting was almost identical to Feng Wu's, but the answers were full of errors. and the essay answers even had a disgruntled tone to them, and it scored 179. Mr. Wu was astonished. That was an amazing replica. Mr. Zhua, this is incredible, Mr. Wu said in admiration. Put it back now. Hurry up. Mr. Zhua snapped. Yes, of course. Mr. Wu was an experienced teacher, and with Mr. Zhua's help, he snuck into the record office without difficulty. Meanwhile, the other 1,000 papers had been sent to the Imperial Palace. Emperor Wu was commenting on memorials to the throne when his chief eunuch entered and whispered in his ear, "Your Majesty, the exam papers from Imperial College are here." Emperor Wu hadn't cared much about Imperial College's entrance exam before, but this time, after the reminder Grand Secretary Fong gave him, he had to keep an eye on it. Chapter 616, Such Beauty. Chapter 616, Such Beauty. Hence, he had all 1,000 sets of the exam paper brought to him, so that he could look for other promising talents. Upon their delivery, instead of reading the exam papers right away, Emperor Wu sent his steward to fetch Grand Secretary Fong first. The Fong Manor. Feng Wu was chatting with Grand Secretary Fong and trying to steer the topic toward the sale of his residence. "Old master, are you really going to sell this house?" asked Feng Wu. Grand Secretary Fong nodded. "But why?" Feng Wu was bewildered. "I'm sure you're not doing it for the money. Why don't you leave it to your children?" Grand Secretary Fong smiled bitterly. "This manor hasn't always been ours, and we were very lucky to receive it as a gift from a man of noble character. My family has lived here ever since, but after studying it for so many years, I still can't figure out its secret. It's time to hand it over to the next special person." "Study it." Feng Wu narrowed her eyes. Was it possible that Grand Secretary Fong knew about what was going on under the manor as well? Grand Secretary Fong smiled helplessly. "Yes, there's a big secret buried in this manor, but no one has figured it out yet." After some thought, Grand Secretary Fong sighed again. "According to the mysterious seller, if the Fong clan isn't able to figure out the secret in 100 years, we have to sell the manor to someone else. Otherwise, the whole clan will die out." "I didn't believe it first." Grand Secretary Fong smiled bitterly. "But my clansmen have been dying in the past few years. My wife, my daughter. I'm the only one left in this family." Grand Secretary Fong's face was full of pain. "If I don't sell the house now, Shinny might get involved and could get hurt." Feng Wu was about to say something when hasty footsteps came from outside. Master, we have a visitor from court." Soon, the chief steward was led into the room. He smiled at Grand Secretary Fong. "Master Fong, please come with me. His Majesty asked for you." Grand Secretary Fong asked, "Is it about Imperial College's exam?" The chief steward wasn't at liberty to reveal any information, but he still dropped a hint. "The papers have just been delivered." Grand Secretary Fong took the hint right away. The chief steward turned around and smiled at Feng Wu. "Oh my, may I ask who this beautiful girl is? She looks amazing. Master Fong, is this your granddaughter?" Grand Secretary Fong smiled. "I wish. Master Wong, you've met this girl before, when she was little." "I have. Anyone who served the emperor was anything but mediocre." The chief steward had a very retentive memory and could remember all the faces he had ever seen. However, after searching his memory, he gave Grand Secretary Fong a wry smile. "Master Fong, please tell me who the girl is." Grand Secretary Fong smiled as he walked out. "Grand Secretary Fong," the chief steward asked again once they were outside. "Feng Wu. Feng Wu? Feng Wu." Astonished, the chief steward took a moment to digest the information. "As in that Feng Wu?" "Yes, that Feng Wu." Grand Secretary Fong gloated. The chief steward sighed with emotion. "It's only been 5 years, and the girl has become such a beauty." Serving Emperor Wu day in and day out, the chief steward was used to seeing all kinds of beautiful women in the Imperial Palace. However, none of them could compare with Feng Wu. "Who could have known?" the chief steward exclaimed. She had just been another pretty little girl 5 years ago. But now, her beauty was unrivaled. Chapter 617, Yu Minji's Paper. Chapter 617, Yu Minji's Paper. But that's understandable. The chief steward then recalled Feng Wu's mother, who was known as the most beautiful woman on this continent. How could her daughter be anything but beautiful? In the Imperial Palace, Emperor Wu greeted Grand Secretary Feng as soon as he spotted the latter. Here, help me with the exam papers. I want to find some potential talents. Grand Secretary Feng smiled. Your Majesty, Yu Minji is a candidate this year as well. That was right. Now that the Yu family had claimed its independence and had an empire of their own, that kid had been showing up everywhere in the imperial capital lately. Emperor Wu said, remove the stickers and find me his paper. Soon, Grand Secretary Feng found Yu Minji's exam paper and presented it to Emperor Wu with both hands. Emperor Wu nodded as he read on. Well, that kid might look like a rogue, but his handwriting is pretty neat. Look, he got none of the memorization questions right. Emperor Wu spoke resignedly, and Grand Secretary Feng chuckled. Young master, you just couldn't be bothered to memorize those books. He actually has a very good memory, Grand Secretary Feng said with a smile. Emperor Wu nodded. His mind wasn't on the exam. He wouldn't have gotten such low marks if he had put his mind to it. Shaking his head, Emperor Wu put Yu Minji's paper aside, then asked, where's the girl's paper? Although he had seen her answers, reading the real exam paper wouldn't feel the same. Grand Secretary Feng and the chief steward had already been looking for Feng Wu's paper, while Emperor Wu was reading Yu Minji's, but they still hadn't found it yet. Hearing Emperor Wu's question, Grand Secretary Feng said in a hurry, one moment, Your Majesty. We'll find it in no time. Emperor Wu went back to Yu Minji's paper and laughed as he read. Such a silly kid. He didn't take this important exam seriously at all. He had left everything he didn't know blank without even trying to make up an answer. Not only didn't he fill in any of the blanks in Section 1, he didn't choose any options for the multiple choice questions either. He couldn't even be bothered to guess. Emperor Wu found the boy so amusing. Meanwhile, Grand Secretary Feng and the chief steward exchanged concerned looks. I flipped through every page, and she's not here. So have I. I didn't see her paper. They looked at each other in bewilderment. Grand Secretary Feng wouldn't give up. Splitting the stack in two, he said, let's take a half each and check them again. There was no way that a candidate like that could have been excluded. She got full marks. With 500 sets of the exam paper each, Grand Secretary Feng and the chief steward quickly ran through the stack. Feng Wu's handwriting was so exceptional that it could be spotted right away. This time, Grand Secretary Feng and the chief steward turned each page more slowly in order not to miss anything. However, until the last page was turned, it wasn't here. Grand Secretary Feng's face darkened. The chief steward found it odd as well. The chief steward had read the exam paper while standing by the emperor's side when Grand Secretary Feng brought it in earlier. His Majesty and Grand Secretary Feng had lavished the answers with compliments, making Miss Feng Wu sound like a fairy. Emperor Wu had finished enjoying Yu Minji's paper and prompted, quickly, bring me little Feng Wu's paper. I need the refreshment. Xiao Yu's paper is a joke. Your Majesty. Grand Secretary Feng looked at Emperor Wu strangely. What? Emperor Wu raised his head and saw the odd looks on Grand Secretary Feng's and the chief steward's faces. He rose to his feet. What's wrong? Chapter 618. How clever can that girl be? Chapter 618. How clever can that girl be? Comment. Grand Secretary Feng couldn't hold back his anger. Xiao Wu's paper isn't here. What? Emperor Wu was shocked. That was impossible. If Grand Secretary Feng was telling the truth, and Feng Wu really had written down those answers from memory, she could get nothing but full marks, which would shock the entire empire. The first candidate with full marks in history. The emperor himself had put all the memorials aside just to read her paper, but it wasn't here. How is that possible? Emperor Wu's face darkened. Grand Secretary Feng put the stack he checked in front of Emperor Wu and shook his head. I've checked every page. Hers isn't here. The chief steward also shook his head when he put down his stack. There are 1,000 sets here. Xiao Wu couldn't have gotten such a low score. Emperor Wu found it ridiculous. He wouldn't believe it. Hence, the emperor himself began to read each page in turn. The exam papers were put together from the highest mark to the lowest. The one on the very top belonged to a teenager named Ning Chenxi, who scored 250. Such a score would have made him first in the previous year. However, after reading Feng Wu's answers, Emperor Wu found Ning Chenxi's answers nothing special at all. Emperor Wu read each one in turn until he reached the last one, which belonged to Yuminji. Yuminji hadn't taken the exam seriously. He only scored enough to pass. After searching through everything himself, Emperor Wu realized in astonishment that Feng Wu really wasn't included. There were only two possibilities. One was that Feng Wu did really badly and failed the exam. The other possibility was that someone had tried something behind his back. Emperor Wu wasn't happy with either option. More than one senior eunuch served Emperor Wu. Aside from the chief steward, there was also a master by. And he said in an unhurried tone, "Is it possible that Miss Feng Wu didn't do a great job?" Grand Secretary Fong flared up. He cast a stern look at Master Bai. "Master Bai, what are you trying to say? Are you accusing me of lying?" Grand Secretary Fong, "Please don't be mad. I didn't mean that." Master Bai smiled and remained unperturbed. "It's just that at your age, maybe you don't remember things as clearly as you did before. Yeah, you might as well call me a dotard." Grand Secretary Fong smirked. Luckily, Feng Wu stuffed some papers in his pocket before he left for the Imperial Palace, where he would have had no proof now. Grand Secretary Fong's stomach lurched when he remembered that. Had the girl given him her previous exam papers because she had anticipated this? But how? Was it because he had told her that Mr. Liu had gone into seclusion and Mr. Zhua was the acting principal at the moment? Exactly how clear-minded was this girl to be able to have such forethought? Meanwhile, Emperor Wu was staring at Grand Secretary Fong, and he was getting suspicious. Master Bai tried to aggravate that suspicion. "Grand Secretary Fong, it's only common sense that Miss Feng Wu can't be that perfect. Did you dream everything up?" Emperor Wu found Grand Secretary Fong even more dubious, for he trusted Master Bai a lot. And Grand Secretary Fong's retirement actually had a lot to do with Master Bai. Therefore, Chapter 619, Feng Wu failed? Chapter 619, Feng Wu failed. Neither enjoyed the other party's presence. Grand Secretary Fong stared at Master Bai. "What if I can give you proof?" "I'm all ears, then. I'm very curious myself about what kind of wonderful young woman Miss Feng Wu has turned into. Your Majesty, I'm very doubtful on this point." Master Bai smiled. Grand Secretary Fong snorted, took out a stack of exam papers, and put it on Emperor Wu's table. "Your Majesty, please have a look." "What are these?" Emperor Wu narrowed his eyes. Grand Secretary Fong said, "This is Feng Wu's first go at the exam paper 7 days ago." Emperor Wu picked up the first one, which had the same handwriting as the one Grand Secretary Fong showed him earlier. However, quite a few marks had been deducted. She only got a little over 200. Emperor Wu frowned. "Yes, Your Majesty, please turn to the next page," Grand Secretary Fong said with a smile. "I've been giving Xiao Wu an exam paper every day, and she made unbelievable progress." Emperor Wu checked the second exam paper and saw that Feng Wu scored 230. The third set, 240. The fourth set, 250. And she scored 290 in the ninth set. Emperor Wu looked at Grand Secretary Fong in bewilderment. Her speed of progress is marvelous, isn't it?" Grand Secretary Fong sighed with emotion. In those 7 days, Xiao Wu memorized all 1,000 books from the must-read list and read 10,000 extracurricular books. That's why she was able to do better in each paper and at such an amazing speed. Emperor Wu was rendered speechless. "I don't buy it." Master Bai's voice dripped with acid. "No one can memorize that much in 7 days. Normal people wouldn't even be able to finish turning all those pages." Grand Secretary Fong, You're just exaggerating. Grand Secretary Fong really wanted to kick Master Bai's ass now. He smirked. Speak for yourself. What do you know about Xiao Wu? Why do you think she was able to get full marks? Well, we don't know how reliable that claim is yet, Master Bai said sarcastically. Emperor Wu frowned. He had to get to the bottom of this. Grand Secretary Fong threw a dirty look at Master Bai, then turned to Emperor Wu. Your Majesty, may I go to Imperial College now to fetch Xiao Wu's exam paper? Emperor Wu nodded. Master Bai, go with Grand Secretary Fong. Yes, Your Majesty. Master Bai then went to Imperial College with Grand Secretary Fong. At the same time, the list of the top 1,000 candidates had already started to get around. After all, His Majesty had seen the exam papers already. The information was leaked. The Fong clan. What? I got in? Fong Lu, who was bedridden with a bad cold, jumped to her feet and was overwhelmed with excitement. I'm in. I passed the written exam. Ha ha. I really did? Yes, Miss Lu. Kai Wei, Fong Lu's chambermaid, whispered in her ear. Miss, the list is for sale already, and it's really expensive. Young Master Fong bought a copy with 100 bronze coins. Show me. I want to see it. Thrilled, Fong Lu snatched the list out of Tsai Yue's hand. She began to look for her name from the top down, and she finally found it at the bottom of the list. Ha ha ha, I'm the 1,000th. Fong Lu was elated. Didn't Fong Wu take the exam as well? Is she in? Chapter 620. Xiao Wu must have full marks. Chapter 620. Xiao Wu must have full marks. When it came to Fong Wu, Fong Lu was in fact intimidated by this sister of hers despite her apparent contempt. That was something that had been ingrained into her when she was little. Fong Lu quickly went through the names. Fong Wu wasn't on the first page, or the second page, or the third. She read all the way down to the 10th page. And the 999th name was Yu Minji. Is this list the real deal? Because of the cold, Fong Lu didn't feel very well. However, she jumped out of bed after looking through the list and grabbed Kai Wei in excitement. Is it real? Is it? The young master brought it back himself. It has to be. Ha ha ha. Fong Lu was so excited that she looked insane. She was crying and laughing at the same time. Even Lady Wong heard the noise and came in a hurry to check up on Fong Lu. Mother, look at this list. Fong Lu said in an agitated tone. Look, the list is out. Lady Wong took the list and began to look through the names. Her eyes lit up when she reached the bottom. Xiao Lu, you're the 1,000th. That was enough to get Fong Lu into one of the finest classes in Imperial College, where she would be able to enjoy a lot of resources. Mother, I still have to get through the physical tryout. Fong Lu sounded very pleased. Wait a minute. Lady Wong cried out in surprise. Fong Wu isn't here. Lady Wong thought the same as Fong Lu. No matter how much contempt they displayed toward Fong Wu, they were secretly on guard against her, for she had been simply too talented before. That was until they read that list. Lady Wong and Fong Lu let out breaths of relief in unison. The weather is really nice today. Do you want to take a walk? Lady Wong proposed. Of course, Fong Lu said in excitement. And naturally, they headed for Fong Wu's Fallen Star Yard. In Fallen Star Yard, Fong Wu's beautiful mother was sewing an exquisite dress in the courtyard. Xiao Wu is going to college soon, and I'll make sure she has the prettiest dress. The beautiful lady was embroidering a pink flower on the sleeve as she chatted with Granny Zhao, who was busy with household chores. Granny Zhao nodded with a smile. Miss Wu is brilliant. I'm sure she'll do great. Feng Xiaoqi, who was chewing on a pancake, grinned. My sister is the best. She'll get nothing but the highest score. Chaoga added in excitement. The highest? Xiao will get full marks. I'm sure of it. Uncle Chiu, who was cultivating on the side, gave them a wry smile. Each one of them had higher hopes than the last. Luckily, Miss Wu was worth all that expectation. Everyone was home except for Feng Wu. While they were enjoying themselves in the yard, Lady Wong and Feng Lu arrived with a bunch of servants. Despite Fallen Star Yard's high wall, they heard everything inside. Feng Lu almost burst out laughing when she heard the conversation. Ha ha ha. Feng Lu couldn't wait to see their disappointed faces. Open up now. Feng Lu banged on the door, puffed up with arrogance. Who is it? Granny Zhao was washing some clothes. She feared that the clothes might be tampered with if they were washed by someone else, so she had always done the work herself. Granny Zhao rose to her feet, dried her hands on her apron, and went to answer the door. Chapter 6:21. Full marks? The first? Chapter 6:21. Full marks? The first. Miss Lu. Granny Zhao stiffened when she saw Feng Lu. When she spotted Lady Wang behind Feng Lu, she wanted to stop them at the gate. However, Feng Lu didn't give her that chance. Feng Lu gave a shove and Granny Zhao stumbled back. Instantly, everyone inside the yard turned to look in that direction. Feng Lu, Duan Chaoga, was the first to stand up and glare at Feng Lu. Feng Xiaoqi and the others rose to their feet as well and were all alarmed, as if enemies had just stepped into their home. Oh my, is everything all right? Calm down, do calm down. We're all family here. Now, please take a seat and let's chat. Lady Wang smiled. She decided that she was going to get back at these people for everything they had put her through outside Imperial College before the exam started. Hence, she asked everyone to sit back down. Kindness doesn't suit you. Shielding the beautiful lady with her own body, Chaoga glared at Feng Lu and Lady Wang. You're not welcome here. Get lost now. You'll be in so much trouble when Xiao Wu gets back. Chaoga knew that Feng Wu's top priority was to keep her mother safe. Hence, she had to protect the beautiful lady from all harm. Oh my, I was wondering who that voice belonged to. So it's you, Duan Chaoga. Duan. Chao. Gu. Aren't you from the Duan family? Who are you to point your finger around in my home? Who gave you the right? Go back to your own home now. Feng Lu said in a harsh tone. Anyone else would have been so abashed by now, but not Chaoga. She shoved Feng Lu with rage. Who am I? I'm much closer to Xiao Wu than you are. Who the hell are you to say those things to me? You. Feng Lu was furious. To make it worse, Feng Xiaoqi stepped out and glared at Feng Lu. You're not welcome here. Go away. Feng Lu was so mad, she thought that she was going to lose her mind. Read more chapter on VIP novel. Calm. However, she smirked all of a sudden. Feng Xiaoqi, what makes you think you can be so arrogant? Do you really think your sister will be going to Imperial College? In her dreams. To Feng Xiaoqi, his sister was the best, and no one was allowed to say otherwise. He could live with Feng Lu insulting him, but he wouldn't let the woman say anything bad about his sister. Feng Xiaoqi exploded right away. My sister isn't going to Imperial College? Huh, I'm telling you, not only will my sister be going to Imperial College, she's going to get in as the top student. Duan Chaoga rested her hands on her waist, and she's going to get full marks as well. Exchanging looks with Lady Wang, Feng Lu couldn't control herself anymore. Oh, God, huh? Seeing that Feng Lu was cracking up, Feng Xiaoqi was infuriated. Stop laughing. It was as if they had told her a joke. Ha 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 ha, the top student? Full marks? Ha ha ha. Feng Lu laughed so hard that she could barely stand still. That's just so funny, ha ha. Feng Xiaoqi flared up. Get out. Get out now. Ha ha. Feng Lu laughed until she was in tears. She took the unannounced list from her chest pocket and tossed it at Feng Xiaoqi. Here's the list that's been going around. Try to find your sister's name on it. Feng Xiaoqi didn't want to do as told, but he was too curious. In the end, he slowly unfolded it. Chapter 622, Splendid. Chapter 622, Splendid. Feng Xiaoqi read the list from the first name to the last, and his face darkened. What's wrong? Seeing the look on Xiaoqi's face, Chaoga went up to him, and she was surprised by the list as well. Where's Xiao Wu? Chaoga almost jumped to her feet. Why isn't Xiao Wu on it? Feng Lu guffawed. Why should her name be there? She was never going to get in. Bullshit. Chowga was furious. There's no way that Xiao Wu failed, but she's just not on the list. Feng Lu shrugged smugly. With a tearing sound, Chowga ripped the list in half. It's fake. Feng Lu went wild. How dare you tear it up? I'm gonna kill you. At those words, Feng Lu raised a hand and tried to slap Chowga. Chowga smirked. I like to see you try. Chowga was as capable as Feng Lu now, if not better. Grabbing Feng Lu by the wrist, Chowga was going to throw Feng Lu out. Lady Wang wouldn't let that happen. With a wave of her hand, all her servants rushed at Chowga. Feng Xiaoqi realized that they would soon be outnumbered. An idea then struck him. Grabbing Chowga, they backed away onto the stairs. What happened next was quicker than words could describe. Feng Xiaoqi smashed a glass bottle in a corner to pieces. His sister told him that she had set up a protective formation in this courtyard and that the glass bottle was the trigger. At the smashing sound, Feng Lu saw the clear blue sky suddenly turn overcast as dark clouds began to gather. The even ground became a swamp under her feet. Not only herself, everyone else in the courtyard seemed to be surrounded by the swamp. Ah! Feng Lu screamed all of a sudden. I'm sinking. Ah! There's so much mud. Help me. Help! As a matter of fact, from Feng Xiaoqi's point of view, Feng Lu was standing in a shallow pit about 5 centimeters deep. Lady Wang looked equally flustered. She tried her best to reach for Feng Lu, but they seemed to be worlds apart. Exasperated, Lady Wang waved her arms and cried out, Xiao Lu, hang on, I'm coming for you. To Feng Xiaoqi, the two of them were only a meter away from each other. Feng Xiaoqi didn't know what to say. Chowga was rendered speechless, and the rest of Feng Wu's family was speechless as well. This was amazing. They couldn't believe what they were seeing. In their eyes, all these people were making painful faces and struggling like ducks in a thunderstorm when nothing was actually happening to them. However, Feng Lu and Lady Wang were experiencing something completely different. They really thought that they were in a thunderstorm. The sky was dark, lightning was flashing overhead, and they were being pulled down into the swamp. The sticky mud had risen to their thighs, stomachs, chests. Mom, help me. Help me, Mom. I'm sinking. Help. Hang on. I'm coming. I'm going to swim across the river and help you. While Feng Lu and Lady Wang were crying their eyes out, Chowga and the others stared at the so-called river between the mother and daughter. There was no such river. The only thing between them was a piece of straw that Granny Zhao had missed when she swept the floor that morning. And the rest of Feng Wu's family was speechless as well. Chapter 623. Where are you on the list? Chapter 623. Where are you on the list? That was so frightening. Chills ran down their spines. They couldn't imagine what kind of doomsday Feng Lu and her people were experiencing in a mere courtyard. Moreover, judging by the frightened looks on their faces, the cold sweat rolling down their foreheads, and their stiff bodies, they weren't acting. They really were living in a nightmare. What a formidable formation. Chowga and the others involuntarily took another step back. Mom, it hurts. I've been struck by lightning. Sob. Feng Lu was so scared that her face had drained of all color. Her pain looked genuine. Ah, my head, my hands. Ah, I'm burning. I'm on fire. Stop it. I didn't do anything wrong. I have a clear conscience. Sob. I didn't mean to do harm to Feng Wu back then. Stop it. I didn't mean it. I did it to Feng Wu on purpose. She was too talented. I was jealous. Stop it. Mom. Help. Ah. Feng Lu screamed as excruciating pain flashed through her head. She jolted and fell backward. The wind and the rain stopped altogether. When Feng Lu came back to herself, she saw that nothing was out of place. The ground was flat, the courtyard was quiet, and the parasol tree stood tall. Feng Xiaoqi and the others were looking at her in amazement. Then a face came into view. Feng Wu. Feng Lu cringed involuntarily at the sight of Feng Wu. She had yet to recover from what she had just experienced. The flashing lightning, rumbling thunder, and the dark swamp. She had been burnt to a crisp by the thunderstrike, but now. Feng Lu looked down. Her dress was spotless. There was no sign of any such strike. So nothing actually happened. Head spinning, Feng Lu felt a chill run down her spine. If that was just an illusion, that was so frightening. Taking Lady Wang's hand, Feng Lu turned to leave. Stop! Feng Wu's cold voice rang out behind her. What do you want? Feng Lu's clothes were soaked with cold sweat, and her face had drained of all color. She stared at Feng Wu. Do you think you can just come and go like you own the place? Feng Wu snorted. What on earth do you want from me? Feng Lu stumbled back. That nightmare had come so suddenly and was so terrifying that Feng Lu was overwhelmed by her fear of Feng Wu. All she could think of now was to get away from here at once and never return. Sister, she said you didn't get into Imperial College. Feng Xiaoqi picked the right time to tell on Feng Lu. Did she? Feng Wu smiled. Feng Xiaoqi rushed over to pick up the list that had been ripped apart by Chaoga, then handed it to Feng Wu. Here, sister. She brought this and told us that the results were out. Mom was so upset that she almost cried. Feng Wu cast a stern look at Feng Lu. She almost made her beautiful mother cry. You brought this? Feng Wu slowly went up to Feng Lu. Feng Lu stubbornly stuck out her chest. I did. She cheered up when she recalled the results on the list. Feng Wu, you know what? You didn't get into the first 1,000. So, game over for you. Really? Were you on that list, then? Feng Wu asked in an unhurried tone. Chapter 624, Sorry. Chapter 624, Sorry. I'm the 1,000th. I just made it in. Ha ha ha. Resting her hands on her waist, Feng Lu gloated. So you're last on the list, Feng Wu said in resignation. But you didn't even get in, ha ha. Feng Lu darted a contemptuous look at Feng Wu. At least I can proceed to the physical tryout, and you can't. Feng Wu glanced at the list. You learned that from this list. Yes. Feng Lu was very pleased. I don't believe it. Huh. Feng Lu smirked. Feng Wu then said, Who knows where you got that list from? Why don't you believe it? Why? My brother got it from Imperial College. Feng Lu stuck her nose in the air. I see, Feng Wu said with a drawl. So, this list was announced before the results are out. The look on Feng Lu's face changed a little. Feng Wu snorted. I'd like to confirm the authenticity of this list. And what if it's real? Feng Lu began to panic. Feng Wu was able to get recommendation letters from 3 bosses, which meant that she did have some connections up there. If it's real, I'll find out who leaked the information. Feng Wu took the list and headed for the gate. No, Feng Lu really panicked now. She clung to Feng Wu and wouldn't let go. You're not going anywhere. Stop. Feng Wu said proudly. I'm going to Imperial College now. I'd like to know if this list is real and who's spreading it. You're not going. Feng Lu worried that Feng Yiran would be incriminated when someone looked into the matter. Are you threatening me now? Feng Wu smirked. Feng Lu was about to say something threatening when she met Feng Wu's sharp, cold gaze. The scene from earlier came back to her instantly, and she broke into a cold sweat. Apologize. Feng Wu stared at her. Apologize to my family now. Lady Wang and Feng Lu looked at each other awkwardly. They had come here to scoff at Feng Wu and have a good laugh. But they had to apologize now. No. Then, Feng Wu repeated her intention to go ask around at Imperial College. In the end, Feng Lu mumbled with a long face, Sorry. Can't hear it. Sorry. Can't hear it. I said I'm sorry. Can't hear it. Feng Wu, you're doing this on purpose, aren't you? You're making fun of me. And you just figured that out? Feng Wu sneered at Feng Lu. At the same time, Grand Secretary Fong and Master Bai arrived at Imperial College. Since Mr. Liu was in seclusion, Mr. Zhua, the deputy principal, came out to greet them. Looking from Grand Secretary Fong to Master Bai, Mr. Zhua was confused. May I ask to what do I owe this pleasure? Before Master Bai said anything, Grand Secretary Fong spoke. Let's go to the record office first. The record office? Mr. Zhua raised an eyebrow and had a bad feeling about this. However, it shouldn't be what he was thinking. Wu was supposed to be the only one who knew about Feng Wu's paper. Why should anyone else ask about it? Bemused, Mr. Zhu decided to wait and see how things went. He tipped Master Bai a wink as they walked. After all the money the Zhu family had been giving to Master Bai, the latter would be willing to provide him some information. As expected, Master Bai mouthed a name, Feng Wu. That confirmed Mr. Zhu's speculation. It was indeed about Feng Wu. Luckily, he was prepared, and they could look all they wanted. Chapter 625. Is this Miss Feng Wu's paper? Chapter 625. Is this Miss Feng Wu's paper? Without further ado, Grand Secretary Feng gave his instruction. Find me Feng Wu's exam paper, serial number 10001. The teacher in the record office gave Mr. Zhu a pleading look. Mr. Zhu frowned. Grand Secretary Feng, what are you doing? It's very inappropriate to investigate a candidate's paper in private like this. Mr. Zhu, Master Bai is here. Do you think it's still private? Grand Secretary Feng smirked. Mr. Zhu was speechless. Master Bai smiled. Mr. Zhu, we're here on behalf of His Majesty. Go ahead. Of course, I'll do as told when the order comes from His Majesty. Mr. Zhu said with a smile, and he remained where he was. He had an excellent ability to mimic someone else's handwriting, and he was very confident about the paper he had written himself. He was sure that there wouldn't be any problems. Soon, the teacher found Feng Wu's paper. He then handed it to Grand Secretary Feng. With the paper in hand, Grand Secretary Feng let out a breath of relief. This is Miss Feng Wu's paper, right? With his hands behind his back, Mr. Zhu smiled at Grand Secretary Feng. Master Bai looked at Grand Secretary Feng as well. You taught Miss Feng Wu yourself. I'm sure you can recognize her handwriting. Grand Secretary Feng nodded. That's right. This is... He stopped abruptly and frowned. This wasn't right. One look at the paper, and Grand Secretary Feng knew something was off. Feng Wu's paper was perfect. She got everything right. However, there were mistakes in this paper from the third question onward. The fifth question was wrong, and then there were many more wrong answers. Some simple memorization questions were incorrect, which was unacceptable. This is ridiculous. Grand Secretary Feng tossed the paper on the table. There's no way that this is Feng Wu's paper. He had seen through the scam? Mr. Zhu panicked a little, but covered it up soon enough. What's wrong? Mr. Zhu feigned an innocent voice. Look at the serial number and the name. It's Feng Wu's, isn't it? Master Bai also glanced at Grand Secretary Feng. And the handwriting is identical to that paper you brought in earlier. Mr. Zhu smirked. Grand Secretary Feng, this is too big a matter for you to say whatever you want. His tone was already intimidating. It would do everyone good to just leave it as it was. However, Grand Secretary Feng cherished all talented people, especially someone as exceptional as Feng Wu. He wouldn't be fooled like this. Grand Secretary Feng snorted. Mr. Zhu, you can't turn white into black and black into white. If His Majesty discovers malpractice in the exam, and the exam papers were switched, well, I hope you can live with the consequences. Face dark, Mr. Zhu said. Grand Secretary Feng, I see you've set your mind on smearing the reputation of Imperial College. May I remind you that you're a member of the Education Board as well? You won't be better off if the college is affected. Smear its reputation? I'll show you who's the real culprit of that. Grand Secretary Feng stormed off with the paper. Narrowing his eyes, Master Bai gave Mr. Zhu a look. Mr. Zhu nodded back confidently, indicating that he was sure of his win. Master Bai gave him a nod, then left with Grand Secretary Feng. In the Imperial Palace, Emperor Wu was looking at a pile of exam papers with a big frown. Chapter 626. Here comes His Royal Highness. Chapter 626. Here comes His Royal Highness. Emperor Wu didn't care about any exam paper other than the set Grand Secretary Feng brought him. As for Feng Wu, Emperor Wu had mixed feelings at the moment. What happened to the girl's exam paper? He was still trying to figure it out when the chief steward whispered in his ear, Your Majesty, His Royal Highness is here. Jun Linyuan. At this hour? Emperor Wu was bemused. Show him in. Jun Linyuan stepped into the hall to find the table covered with exam papers. Linyuan, what brings you here? Emperor Wu knew his son too well to wait for the latter to greet him first. Jun Linyuan gave Emperor Wu a nod, then glanced at the table. These are the exam papers for Imperial College this year. Emperor Wu patted the seat next to him, gesturing at his son to sit down. The chief steward smiled awkwardly as he observed how the emperor behaved around his son. When the crown prince was around, the emperor reminded one a mouse facing a cat and didn't dare to step out of line at all. Whereas with his other sons, his majesty was all stately and authoritative. He just couldn't behave like a proper emperor in Jun Linyuan's presence. He tried to establish his authority a few times when Jun Linyuan was little, but each time he was defeated by the crown prince's relentless comments and blatant disregard. After a few failed attempts, his majesty gave up ever trying to intimidate his royal highness. Emperor Wu jumped a little when Jun Linyuan sat down next to him. He really did sit as told. Something big must have happened. The kid never showed up here without a good reason. Emperor Wu told the chief steward, "Put away these exam papers. They're in the way." He then turned to Jun Linyuan. "Well, to what do I owe this pleasure?" Jun Linyuan kept his gaze on the exam papers that the chief steward tried to gather into a stack. He spotted the one with Feng Wu's handwriting on it right away. "Well, Imperial College had their entrance exam the other day, and I had the exam papers of the top 1,000 candidates brought here. You wouldn't be interested, would you? No one here is exceptional enough to be mentioned." Emperor Wu put away Feng Wu's paper as he spoke and put it on his other side away from Jun Linyuan. He knew that Jun Linyuan didn't like to see Feng Wu's name or to be mentioned alongside the girl. Hence, Emperor Wu put away Feng Wu's mock exam papers as well. Jun Linyuan narrowed his eyes, giving off a dangerous air. After some thought, Emperor Wu moved Feng Wu's papers further away from Jun Linyuan. Jun Linyuan was speechless. "Look at these." Emperor Wu waved at Jun Linyuan. "Imperial College is going to have some new talented people once more. No one actually stands out, but quite a few are pretty impressive." "No one stood out?" Jun Linyuan frowned at those words. Emperor Wu thought that Jun Linyuan wouldn't be bothered to look at the exam papers at all. However, to his surprise, Jun Linyuan began to go through the stack one page at a time, starting from a one with the highest marks, and his face darkened as he turned the pages. Emperor Wu was bewildered. What was wrong with the kid? Why did he look disappointed? Is this everything? The look on Jun Linyuan's face was so grim that he looked like he was ready to bite someone. No wonder the officials said that His Royal Highness was more intimidating than His Majesty. Right now, even Emperor Wu couldn't withstand Jun Linyuan's intense gaze. "Yes, I think so." Emperor Wu nodded. "You think?" Jun Linyuan smirked. "What's over there?" "Well, this." Emperor Wu brushed everything under the table. "It's nothing official, huh?" Chapter 627. A Word of Praise for Feng Wu. Chapter 627. A Word of Praise for Feng Wu. However, Jun Linyuan reached out with his long arms before Emperor Wu could finish his sentence. Emperor Wu's heart sank. Oh no! Jun Linyuan abhorred Feng Wu, and he would explode when he saw her name. As expected, the look on Jun Linyuan's face changed when he picked up the stack of papers and saw the name on them. Emperor Wu was rendered speechless. Shit, the kid was going to have a tantrum. However, to Emperor Wu's surprise, Jun Linyuan didn't flare up right away, despite his livid face. Instead, he read the answers carefully and looked through the stack page by page. Emperor Wu forced a smile. "Oh my, it's not worth reading at all. Here, take these away." The chief steward only took one step forward when Jun Linyuan stopped him with a wave of his right hand. The chief steward paused, smiled bitterly, and gave Emperor Wu an awkward look. Emperor Wu was rendered speechless. He could only gesture at the chief steward to stay put. Jun Linyuan said unhurriedly, "These exam papers, Emperor Wu decided that he shouldn't compliment the girl, or the kid would pick on her later. Xiao Wu was innocent. Emperor Wu forced a smile. Well, she's all right, I guess. Ha ha ha. Jun Linyuan darted a look at Emperor Wu. All right, yes. Look, she only got 210. There's nothing special about her paper. Just put it away. Jun Linyuan turned the page, revealing the second exam set. 220. The next set scored 230. And he turned the pages until the last one, which scored 290. Jun Linyuan glanced at Emperor Wu and casually said, "She's all right, you guess." Emperor Wu coughed. "You brat. I only said that to please you. I wouldn't have belittled Xiao Wu if it wasn't for you." Feng Wu, picking up the exam paper with 290 points, Jun Linyuan darted a look at the name, then turned to Emperor Wu. Who's she? Had he forgotten about her? He didn't know who little Feng Wu was? Emperor Wu was elated and waved his hands. "She's nobody, not worth remembering at all." Jun Linyuan said, "As in the fifth daughter of the Feng clan? So you knew all along?" Emperor Wu looked at Jun Linyuan in resignation. "Yes." Jun Linyuan feigned an indifferent tone. "Why is her paper here?" Emperor Wu knew that he couldn't keep it from his son. The brat could find out on his own anyway. "Grand Secretary Feng brought it to me." Jun Linyuan nodded, as if he couldn't give a damn. "She did pretty well." "Pretty well?" Emperor Wu darted a look at Jun Linyuan in surprise. Less than a handful of people could get such a positive comment from Jun Linyuan. Seeing that Jun Linyuan wasn't mad, Emperor Wu stopped trying to hide his appreciation for Feng Wu. "Ha, she really is pretty good. That handwriting alone is so pleasing to the eye." Emperor Wu grinned. "And look at these exam papers." Emperor Wu explained in a proud tone. According to Grand Secretary Feng, Xiao Wu did the first set 7 days ago, and the last set was done a day before the entrance exam. She improved from 210 to 290 in 7 days. How amazing is that? Jun Linyuan darted a glance at Emperor Wu and looked pleased. Of course she was amazing. She was his girl. However, he only cleared his throat and said indifferently, "Fine." Chapter 628. Messing with my Xiao Wu? Chapter 628. Messing with my Xiao Wu. Emperor Wu had started saying good things about Feng Wu, and he wasn't going to stop there. Look at these answers. It's no surprise that she can get all the memorization questions right, but look at her answer for Section 4. Emperor Wu couldn't suppress the amazement in his voice. See? How innovative. How smart. One look, and you know she's so well-versed. What a rare talent. Jun Linyuan snorted a little. He had known that all along. However, Jun Linyuan asked, was she absent from the entrance exam? No, she wasn't. Where's her paper, then? Jun Linyuan gave Emperor Wu a sidelong glance. Emperor Wu said, well, about that. She failed. Jun Linyuan gave him a half-smile. Emperor Wu was rendered speechless. Your Majesty, you're not doing a good job as emperor, you know. Jun Linyuan said sarcastically. Someone was trying to mess with his little Feng Wu? Interesting. Little Feng Wu was his to pick on and his alone. Anyone else who tried to do that could go to hell. Emperor Wu couldn't stand Jun Linyuan's sneer and smacked the table hard. This is unacceptable. How can such a talented person be excluded? These people are so untrustworthy. Where? I'll go get it. Jun Linyuan rose to his feet and his eyes glinted coldly. How dare they do this to his girl? They had to have a death wish. Just then, footsteps came from outside. The chief steward entered the hall. Your Majesty, your Royal Highness, Master Bai and Grand Secretary Feng are back. Emperor Wu said to Jun Linyuan, I sent them to Imperial College to look into this. I'm sure they're back with Xiao Wu's paper. However, Grand Secretary Feng looked furious when he walked in. Emperor Wu frowned. What's wrong? Master Bai smiled bitterly. Your Majesty, Mr. Zhou showed us to the record office himself and found us Miss Feng Wu's paper. However, Grand Secretary Feng doesn't seem pleased. Not pleased. Emperor Wu looked at Grand Secretary Feng bewildered. Grand Secretary Fong didn't say a word and only showed Emperor Wu the paper. Picking up the paper, Emperor Wu said, "Why? This is Xiao Wu's paper. Look at that handwriting. Those strokes. They're so pretty." However, Emperor Wu frowned as he began to read the answers, for there were so many red crosses on the paper that it looked so shocking. So many errors? That's not possible. Emperor Wu cried out in surprise. Jun Linyuan frowned and snatched the paper from Emperor Wu's hands. He only took one look before tossing it back on the table. He snorted. "This isn't her paper. Are you sure?" Emperor Wu frowned. Jun Linyuan sneered. "They only mimicked her handwriting, but not its spirit. Such a rough replica is just a joke." Luckily, Feng Wu's other exam papers were here, and Emperor Wu could draw comparisons between them. The difference was apparent as soon as the two exam sets were put side by side. Emperor Wu's face turned livid right away. Jun Linyuan smirked. "Your Majesty, you're doing such a great job running this empire. People are actually trying to fool you with a replica exam paper. You're so getting laughed at." Emperor Wu was already vexed, and Jun Linyuan's sarcastic comment only infuriated him further. Smack! He smacked his table hard. "I'll have a look myself." Your Majesty, seeing that things were turning south, Master Bai tried to talk Emperor Wu out of it. However, Emperor Wu kicked him away before he could speak. "Shut up and get out of my way." Emperor Wu then charged out, headed for Imperial College. Chapter 629, The Jealous Crown Prince. Chapter 629, The Jealous Crown Prince. Jun Linyuan didn't go, for he knew that Emperor Wu would be enough for the job. However, at the thought of what they tried to do to that girl, Jun Linyuan smirked. He darted a look at Feng, who nodded back at him, indicating that he would make sure things went as planned. Jun Linyuan's heart melted a little at the thought of the girl. Once he left the Imperial Palace, Jun Linyuan couldn't help but head for the Feng Manor. There was no way the girl knew about this, and he was going to make her sweat a little. Meanwhile, in the Feng Manor, Yu Minji had been there since earlier that morning. "Oh my, Xiao Wu, Xiao Wu," Yu Minji waved the list around in Feng Wu's face. "You didn't get in." Feng Wu was making tea in the yard. Chaoga and Feng Xiaoqi were both cultivating. Feng Wu was making Tsuling tea, which could help consolidate achievements in cultivation. Yu Minji rushed over, grabbed a cup of tea, and downed it in one go. So hot, so hot, so hot. Yu Minji thought his tongue was going to be blistered by the scalding water, and he hopped around like a little boy. Feng Wu threw him a dirty look. "It's not ready yet. What's the rush?" Yu Minji hissed. "You have no idea how good your Tsuling tea smells. We make the tea at home ourselves, and we even hired the best tea master to do it for us. But it's nothing compared with yours." Feng Wu was secretly pleased. Of course she was the best. Her beautiful master taught her the skill himself. With such a strict teacher, how could she be anything but the best? However, Feng Wu then realized that after all the tea she made, her beautiful master hadn't been able to drink any of it. When he finally obtained a physical form, that incident took place. Switching one, Feng Wu took a deep breath, and there was a murderous look in her eyes. Everything quieted down. Even the air seemed to freeze. "Hey, little Feng Wu, what's wrong?" Yu Minji put his hands on Feng Wu's slim shoulders and looked concerned. "Why are you so quiet? Are you crying?" "Shit. Seriously? All I did was steal a cup of tea from you. There's really..." However, at that critical moment, Jun Linyuan arrived. He saw Yu Minji holding Feng Wu in his arms as soon as he jumped onto the wall of Fallen Star Yard. From his angle, the two looked so intimate. Instantly, Jun Linyuan felt blood rush into his head. His mind went blank, and he was overwhelmed with rage. "Feng Wu, I tricked the Emperor to bring you justice, but what are you doing? You're cuddling with another man here." Jun Linyuan's first reaction was to kill Yu Minji right here and now. Boom! Before he could do anything, the wall went down under his feet. It collapsed. With a crashing sound, the bricks crumbled to the ground. Feng Wu and Yu Minji turned their heads in unison at the sound. They saw Jun Lin Yuan standing there like a furious lion. Flames seemed to surge from his head, and he looked like he was going to set the sky on fire. Feng Wu shoved Yu Minji involuntarily. Run! Run! Before Yu Minji could do anything, Jun Lin Yuan went up to him and grabbed him by the collar. Feng Wu was vexed. Jun Lin Yuan, let him go. Speaking up for Yu Minji only made it worse. With a smirk, Jun Lin Yuan tossed Yu Minji over the wall. He tossed him out just like that. Chapter 630, Pay Back with Your Life. Chapter 630, Pay Back with Your Life. Poor Yu Minji. It was only a few days ago when he was stood up by Jun Lin Yuan and spent a whole night on a tower in the cold. He ended up catching a bad cold and doing poorly in the exam. He had yet to recover, and now this happened. With a whooshing sound, Yu Minji was tossed out of the courtyard. Feng Wu watched as Yu Minji flew further and further away through the air. She couldn't believe it. Jun Lin Yuan, what the hell? Have you lost your mind again? Feng Wu glared at him. The crown prince snorted. After everything he had done for her, this was what she did in return, and she was yelling at him. Jun Lin Yuan was so mad. You want to pass the exam? Forget it. Jun Lin Yuan stormed off, and he disappeared out of sight almost immediately. Feng Wu was speechless. Less than 3 seconds had passed from Jun Lin Yuan showing up to his departure. Hence, when Chaoga and the others rushed out, all they saw was the rubble on the ground and the big hole in the wall. Duan Chaoga stared in shocked silence. Feng Xiaoqi didn't know what to say. Everyone stared at Feng Wu in bewilderment. Xiaoling asked, Miss, what happened? Was someone here? Feng Wu rubbed her forehead. What did Jun Lin Yuan mean by that? She might actually fail the exam if he stuck his nose in it. However, her exam result was directly related to the broken star piece, which in turn was the only chance of saving her beautiful master. Feng Wu had never felt so agitated. Jun Lin Yuan left the Feng manor with a livid face and in a foul mood. Walking behind Jun Lin Yuan, Chang Sen didn't dare utter a word, seeing how infuriated his master was. Bang! Jun Lin Yuan kicked the door to Mr. Zhu's office open. Everyone inside turned their heads in his direction, astonished. Emperor Wu had arrived at Imperial College earlier in a threatening manner. Seeing that the emperor had come all the way here himself, Mr. Zhu's stomach lurched. He had a bad feeling about this. Had he bitten off more than he could chew? Emperor Wu glared at Mr. Zhu as soon as he walked in and cut to the chase. You have 1 minute to hand over Feng Wu's paper, or there will be consequences. Your Majesty. Mr. Zhu dropped to his knees and tried to explain, but Emperor Wu only waved him off. I don't want an explanation. Mr. Zhu felt like crying. Emperor Wu was anything but mild-tempered. Starting off his career as a military man, he was known for his decisiveness and relentless stratagems. He had only stopped executing people as frequently after he got older, which made him seem more approachable than he really was. Mr. Zhu wailed, But Your Majesty, I've handed over Miss Feng Wu's paper already. Where am I supposed to find another one? Emperor Wu smirked, then smacked the replica on Mr. Zhu's face. Zhuhi, do you seriously think you can fool me with this? The paper hit Mr. Zhu on the face, then fell to the floor, landing right in front of Mr. Zhu. Mr. Zhu took a glance, and his heart skipped a beat. It was the paper he had written himself. His Majesty had seen through it. Mr. Zhu's pupils contracted, and he was so nervous. Damn it, how could His Majesty have realized it? Was His Majesty just probing, or did he have any actual proof? Your Majesty, this is Miss Feng Wu's paper. Mr. Zhu decided to stick with his plan. Please have a look at the serial number. It's 10,001, and there's the name. Emperor Wu only smirked. Chapter 631, His Royal Highness is here. Chapter 631, His Royal Highness is here. A chilly air filled the room, and there was a murderous look on the emperor's face. Emperor Wu snorted. You're in charge of Imperial College at the moment. So, if you can't find me that paper today, I'm going to hand Feng Wu your head on a plate. Mr. Zhuo drew in his breath. He didn't realize that it would be this serious. Stealing a look at Emperor Wu, he saw that the latter looked like he was out to kill. The emperor wasn't joking. Mr. Zhuo was very conflicted. The paper was sitting in his chest pocket. Should he hand it over now? Emperor Wu sneered at him. Nothing is going to happen if you find that paper. Otherwise, Zhuo, I'm going to give your head to Feng Wu as compensation. Mr. Zhuo felt like crying. How could it be so serious? Why had it turned into a life-threatening matter? What Mr. Zhuo didn't know was how Jun Linyuan had taunted the emperor earlier in the Imperial Palace. Emperor Wu felt so humiliated. To make up for it, the emperor had made up his mind to get to the bottom of this. Your Majesty, may I go look for it? Emperor Wu looked at him with an impassive face. He wouldn't have been so bossy if Mr. Liu were here. No, Mr. Liu would never have let such a thing happen. Mr. Zhuo stepped out of the room and only had time to heave a sigh of relief when the chief steward's voice rang out behind him. Mr. Zhuo, I'm going to keep you company. The chief steward smiled at him. Could Mr. Zhuo say no to that? Of course not. He had to control his facial muscles, and he forced a smile. That's great. This way, please. In the record office, Mr. Wu looked at Mr. Zhuo, flustered. What should he do now? Mr. Zhuo cast a threatening look at the teacher, warning the latter not to say a word. He then went off to flip through the files, and he kept stealing glances at the chief steward while he pretended to look for the paper. The chief steward's gaze never shifted away from Mr. Zhuo. Hence, Mr. Zhuo couldn't find any chance to take the paper out of his pocket and put it back into the file. What should he do? Just then, footsteps came from outside. Mr. Zhuo looked up. His Royal Highness. Why was he here? Jun Linyuan didn't say anything to Mr. Zhuo, but only asked Feng, what do we have here? Feng said, they still haven't found the paper. Jun Linyuan smirked. Crossing his hands behind his back, he fixed his cold gaze on Mr. Zhuo with an indecipherable look on his face. Linyuan, why are you here? Hearing the noise, Emperor Wu led a team of people toward the record office and spotted Jun Linyuan as soon as he walked in. Apparently, the brat was intrigued as well. Jun Linyuan sneered, sat down on a chair, and remained silent. And he was giving off an air that said, I'm not happy and I want to kill someone. Everyone try to stay as far away from him as possible. Emperor Wu found it rather strange. Could anyone piss off Jun Linyuan like this? This wasn't right. His son always took revenge on the spot and never kept his enemy alive longer than necessary. Someone in this empire could actually irritate the boy like this, and he still hadn't killed them yet. Emperor Wu found it incredible. Sensing his father's curious gaze, Jun Linyuan cast an intimidating look at Emperor Wu, and it reminded the emperor of an angry wolf. Emperor Wu cleared his throat. What a brat. Even he himself couldn't withstand the boy's fury. So who could? Emperor Wu really wanted to know the answer. However, he had to keep his focus on Mr. Zhuo at the moment. Found it yet? Mr. Zhuo was going to hand over the paper, but now he decided against it. He would insist that he didn't know, because His Royal Highness was here. Chapter 632. Whose side is His Royal Highness on? Chapter 632. Whose side is His Royal Highness on? As Zhuo Qinghuan's uncle, Mr. Zhuo was quite an influential figure in his clan. He was in on a lot of things. Zhuo Qinghuan herself had said something at a family meeting once. She said that she was going to marry Jun Linyuan and that Jun Linyuan was fond of her. Therefore, Mr. Zhuo was thrilled to see Jun Linyuan here. The young man was going to be the Zhuo family's royal son-in-law, and with the crown prince here, Mr. Zhuo was sure that His Majesty would cut him some slack. Hence, Mr. Zhuo dropped to his knees with a long face. Your Majesty, I've searched everywhere in the record office, but there's no extra exam paper. The one Grand Secretary Fong handed in was really Feng Wu's paper. Emperor Wu was furious. This Zhuo, he was unbelievable. It was so obvious that his scam had been exposed, but he still insisted on his innocence. The emperor couldn't stand this man. Infuriated, Emperor Wu kicked Mr. Zhuo's shoulder. You're abominable. Your Majesty, I haven't done anything wrong. What on earth is happening? Your Majesty, you're such a wise ruler that I'm sure you won't wrong an innocent man. Mr. Zhuo went on, claiming his innocence. A few steps away, Mr. Wu had long dropped to his knees and prostrated himself on the ground. He was shaking all over. Finally, he knew what had happened. Master Bai, the Chief Steward, Grand Secretary Fong, His Royal Highness, and His Majesty were all here. They had all come here for Feng Wu's exam paper. Mr. Wu was scared to death. He regretted what he had done so much. Had he known that things would go this far, he would never have stolen Feng Wu's paper to flatter Mr. Zhuo. What should he do now? What to do? Kneeling there, Mr. Wu shook like an autumn leaf in the wind. However, all the attention was on Mr. Zhuo at the moment. Emperor Wu snorted. Take him. I'll decide what to do with him after we find the paper. He then turned to leave. It wasn't just about Feng Wu's paper. Emperor Wu was offended mainly because he couldn't stand the idea of his Imperial College being handled by someone like Zhuo. Mr. Zhuo had never expected Emperor Wu to dismiss him from his post without any evidence of his wrongdoing. He was furious. He turned to Jun Linyuan for help. Your Royal Highness, I really am innocent. I don't know anything about this. Emperor Wu flared up. How dare this subject turn to Jun Linyuan for help? It just so happened that the Crown Prince was in a foul mood himself. Darting a glance at Emperor Wu, Jun Linyuan said, Are you sure you're going to arrest this man without any actual proof? Emperor Wu was even more infuriated. Jun Linyuan, get out of my sight. The Crown Prince always did as he pleased, not to mention that Emperor Wu had never been able to intimidate him. He only sneered at his father. Your Majesty, you really should gather the necessary evidence first. Do you have any? Emperor Wu almost exploded. He knew it. This brat was the bane of his life. Emperor Wu stamped his foot in rage and roared. Get out. Get out of here. However, Jun Linyuan sat there unperturbed. The more furious Emperor Wu was, the calmer the Crown Prince became. He even poured himself a cup of tea and sipped on it. Mr. Zhuo was thrilled. Zhuo Qingwan was right. His Royal Highness was fond of her. The Crown Prince was taking Zhuo's side because he liked Zhuo Qingwan and was willing to offend the Emperor for the girl. Talk about priorities. Despite his excitement, Mr. Zhuo kept it to himself and still had that miserable look on his face. Chapter 633. The Crown Prince's Future Wife? Chapter 633. The Crown Prince's Future Wife. Your Royal Highness, please talk to His Majesty. I really have no idea what happened. I handed over Feng Wu's paper and she did poorly because she isn't good enough. We as teachers only mark the papers. We really shouldn't be blamed for their bad grades. If it were someone else, if Qingwan were to take the exam, I'm sure she'd be the best. There's no way that she'd fail the exam. At the end of the day, Feng Wu has no one to blame but herself, right? What do you mean by right? Emperor Wu was so angry that he almost fainted. Zhuo, I see what you're doing by bringing Zhuo Qingwan up. Emperor Wu threw a dirty look at Jun Linyuan and disliked Zhuo Qingwan even more. Jun Linyuan, you've decided to work against me then? Emperor Wu narrowed his eyes. Everyone else was terrified by the interaction between the father and son. One was the emperor in the prime of his life, and the other an exceptionally talented crown prince. What would happen if the two of them decided to turn on each other? Would the empire be ruined? However, Jun Linyuan only casually said, Show me the evidence. You're so sure that I don't have any proof, do you? Emperor Wu smirked. He suddenly turned his sharp gaze on Mr. Wu, who was kneeling on the ground. Mr. Wu had been shaking the whole time, which was enough to show how terrified he was. Everyone here was anything but slow, especially those who personally served Emperor Wu. The man was the most superior figure in the empire. All Emperor Wu needed to do was glance at the chief steward. With a flip of his hand, the chief steward dragged Mr. Wu to his feet. The highest-ranking official Mr. Wu had ever met before today was the principal of Imperial College. What had just happened was beyond his imagination, especially when the Emperor and the Crown Prince had a row. He was almost frightened to death. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. I had nothing to do with this. I didn't steal Feng Wu's paper. Mr. Wu struggled violently. Did we say that Feng Wu's paper was stolen? How did you know that? The chief steward grinned. Mr. Wu's head went blank. I don't know. I don't know anything. You know everything and you're lying. The chief steward wrapped his fingers around Mr. Wu's throat. I'm going to count to 3. Tell me the truth, or not only will you die, so will your wife and kid, your clan, and your most distant relatives. 3, 2. All right. All right. Mr. Wu had no choice now. It wasn't just his life, but also those of his family and friends. It was Mr. Zhua. Mr. Zhua put me up to it. He forced me to steal Feng Wu's paper for him. Mr. Wu decided to pin it on Mr. Zhua. What? All eyes were on Mr. Zhua now. And Mr. Zhua looked like he had been struck by a thunderbolt. No, I didn't. Mr. Zhua dropped to his knees at Emperor Wu's feet. Your Majesty, Wu Ming is lying, and he's making a false charge against me. There was no way that I would ask him to do such a thing. Why would I do that to a mere girl? Since Mr. Wu had made up his mind, he decided to go all the way. Mr. Zhua, you did it because Feng Wu did so well, and her answers were impeccable. When was the last time you saw an exam paper with full marks? You didn't do it for yourself, but for Zhuo Qingwan, the future wife of the crown prince. The future wife of the crown prince? Emperor Wu smirked. Chapter 634, My Xiao Wu. Chapter 634, My Xiao Wu. Zhuo Qingwan was the future wife of the crown prince. Said who? Emperor Wu threw a dirty look at Jun Lin Yuan. Jun Lin Yuan was utterly bemused. Mr. Zhuo was so vexed. Little did he expect that Wu Ming would become his doom. He wanted to charge at the man, but somehow Feng had blocked his way and he couldn't get to Wu Ming. Mr. Wu spoke fast, and all his accusations poured out. Mr. Zhua, you had me remove Feng Wu's paper from the file. She got full marks, but you took Feng Wu's paper to stop her from getting famous again. Then, to cover your tracks, you mimicked her handwriting and made a replica of her paper, which only scored 179, and so was excluded from the top 1,000. You thought no one would find out, but you were wrong. His Majesty is wise and is in need of talented young people, so he looked into it. One can never cover their tracks completely, Mr. Zhua. You still have Feng Wu's paper on you. I bet you haven't sent it to Zhuo Qingwan yet. Hand it over to His Majesty and confess your crime. You. Mr. Zhua almost choked, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. He had never expected Wu Ming to turn him in. That's bullshit. You're making things up. You came to me with Feng Wu's paper, and you. Mr. Zhua was so angry that he couldn't think straight anymore. He said that aloud, and he regretted it as soon as he said it, but it was too late. Mr. Zhua stood there, his head spinning. He didn't know what to do. Emperor Wu snorted. Zhuo, how dare you claim your innocence after everything you did? Am I a fool to you? The more Emperor Wu thought about it, the angrier he felt. He wanted to kill Zhua, he himself. Terrified, Mr. Zhua knelt down and shivered. Jun Lin Yuan was his only hope now. Your Royal Highness, Your Royal Highness. Mr. Zhua crawled to Jun Lin Yuan's side. Wu Ming did it. I really had no idea. Please help me, for Qingwan's sake. Jun Lin Yuan gave Mr. Zhua an irritated glance. The man had no spine. It was a shame to Imperial College to have him as a leader. What would other people think of Imperial College from now on? Moreover, what was he thinking? Threatening him with Zhuo Qingwan. Zhuo Qingwan? Who's that? Jun Lin Yuan rose to his feet and kicked Mr. Zhuo away. As Mr. Zhuo fell backward, a paper flew out of his chest pocket and fell to the ground. Feng caught the paper before it landed and held it up. It was an exam paper. Feng Wu's exam paper. Feng then handed it to Jun Lin Yuan. Mr. Zhuo's stomach lurched. Shit, he cried out. That's a fake one. That's not Feng Wu's paper. Glancing at the paper, Jun Lin Yuan gave Zhuo a crooked smile. I watched her as she answered this paper, every word of it. And you're telling me now that this isn't hers? What? Everyone stared at Jun Lin Yuan in astonishment. What did he mean by every word of it? Even Emperor Wu was shocked. Chapter 635. The results will be out today. Chapter 635. The results will be out today. Didn't he abhor Feng Wu? What was he doing? Watching Xiao Wu take the exam. That statement contained so much information. Mr. Zhua was the most astonished of them all. He had genuinely believed that the crown prince would treat him differently because of Zhuo Qingwan. Your Royal Highness, Zhuo Qingwan. Jun Linyuan sneered. Who the hell is Zhuo Qingwan? Mr. Zhua felt as if he had been stabbed in the chest. Who the hell was Zhuo Qingwan? Who the hell? That was the worst news for the Zhua family. His Royal Highness didn't seem to like Zhuo Qingwan at all. The following day, Feng Wu jumped over the wall first thing in the morning. Old Master Feng, Old Master Feng, Feng Wu called out in an excited voice. Every morning after breakfast, the old man would take a walk in the courtyard. Feng Wu jumped out of the dry well at that moment, and it made Grand Secretary Feng jump a little. You naughty kid, Grand Secretary Feng said grumpily. What are you doing hiding in that well at this early hour? Feng Wu grinned. The spiritual essence is really dense down there, and it's good for my cultivation. You're making things up. The old man wouldn't believe her. Feng Wu took the old man's arm, still grinning. I'm not. Check this out. She put away her concealing jade. The old man's eyes lit up. He realized that Feng Wu was. How can that be? The old man was shocked by Feng Wu's cultivation level. You're a level 5 spiritual grandmaster already. Feng Wu nodded with a smile. The old man had a hard time digesting the news. But you were a level 4 only a few days ago. It was so unfair. Not only could she do well in an exam, she also made such quick progress in cultivation as if she had wings. To be honest, of all the talented people the old man had met over the years, he had never seen anyone like Feng Wu. Feng Wu giggled, feeling very pleased with herself. How did you do it? The old man didn't know what else to say. The kid was born to make other people jealous. She was a cripple? Said who? And she wasn't a genius anymore? She was the definition of a genius. Tilting her head, Feng Wu pointed at the dry well. It's really efficient to cultivate down there. Grand Secretary Feng still thought that she was making things up. He jabbed her forehead with a finger. You little rogue. Feng Wu chuckled, but didn't try to explain. What are you up to? It's so early. Grand Secretary Feng put both hands behind his back and asked proudly. The matter had been taken care of last night, but because the Zhua family was involved in malpractice in Imperial College was a rather sensitive topic, the whole thing had been kept a secret. No one else knew the truth. No wonder the girl was worried. Old Master, I was told that, taking the old man's arm, Feng Wu tilted her head and asked, the list is out. Yup. The old man raised his chin proudly. I also heard that I'm not on that list. Feng Wu met the old man's eyes. Nervous? Of course not. Feng Wu patted her chest. I have faith in this empire, in his majesty, and in you. They walked into a pavilion at that moment. Feng Wu wiped a stone stool clean with a handkerchief, then helped the old man sit down. The old man darted a glance at the old steward. The old steward went out to guard the perimeter. Feng Wu pricked up her ears. Old Master Feng said, the results are out, and the list will be put up outside Imperial College later today. Chapter 636. You've yet to meet the grandma. Chapter 636. You've yet to meet the grandma. Seeing that Feng Wu didn't seem disturbed at all, the old man asked in resignation, Aren't you even a little bit worried? For what? About you, don't I? Judging by the look on the old man's face, Feng Wu knew right away that the matter had been taken care of, or the old man would have been angrier than her. Grand Secretary Feng rapped Feng Wu on her little head. Do you ever get flustered? Well, you got the highest score, as you predicted. Really? Do I detect a story behind it? Yes, you do. And it's quite a story. The old man looked like he was going to make a long speech. Feng Wu poured some tea for the old man as she listened. Why, it's healing tea. Grand Secretary Feng recognized the tea by its scent and was pleasantly surprised. Where did you get it? From Master Linghu? Master Linghu? That was the most famous tea master in the empire. Feng Wu shook her head. No, I made this myself. Old Master, what do you think? This is great. Old Master Feng looked at Feng Wu in amazement. Kiddo, you never cease to amaze me. I would never think you could make sealing tea yourself. Old Master Feng didn't know how many more surprises this so-called crippled girl would give him. She was making progress in her cultivation at an incredible speed. She had wondrous formation skills. And she could make sealing tea as well? Like a real tea master? Feng Wu gloated. Of course she could. She had the most perfect, beautiful master on this continent. Sealing tea was the least of the wonders she could create. Feng Wu smiled. Old Master, I'll make you some more if you like it. Good, good. Sipping from his white jade teacup, Grand Secretary Feng was in a great mood. He then told Feng Wu in detail about what happened the day before. He concluded his narration with a sigh of emotion. His Royal Highness took Mr. Zhu's side at first, and I was worried. Fortunately, he switched sides in the end. Feng Wu frowned. This Jun Linyuan just couldn't stop trying to sabotage her plans. Tilting her head, she asked Grand Secretary Feng, if Jun Linyuan sets his mind to work against me, will His Majesty be able to do anything about it? Grand Secretary Feng gave it some thought, then asked, do you want the truth? So the truth is, Jun Linyuan will get away with it? Feng Wu couldn't believe it. Grand Secretary Feng nodded. That's ridiculous. Feng Wu smacked the table. Jun Linyuan is the crown prince, and his father is the emperor. In what world would an emperor yield to a crown prince? You forgot about the grandmother. Grand Secretary Feng smiled bitterly. You haven't met her yet, and when you do, you'll understand. But I have, Feng Wu said grumpily. The old lady summoned me when I was little. I remember her as an exceptionally stern and serious lady. Of course she was strict with you. You were His Royal Highness's little fiancé, and she had to set her standards very high. Grand Secretary Feng chuckled. Huh? Are you suggesting that the Empress Dowager dotes on Jun Linyuan? Grand Secretary Feng shook his head. No, I mean that she worships the ground His Royal Highness walks on. Feng Wu was speechless. Grand Secretary Feng gave her a wry smile. You'll see when you meet her. She's some old lady. Feng Wu was speechless. Feng Wu and Grand Secretary Feng were still chatting when Steward Feng approached them. Chapter 637. Can I have the house, please? Chapter 637. Can I have the house, please? Master, Princess Mu is here, Steward Feng said with a wry smile. Princess Mu? As in Mu Yao Yao? Grand Secretary Feng frowned, but before he could say anything, Mu Yao Yao's shrill voice came from outside. This is my grandpa's house. Why can't I come in? Get out of my way. Now. Mu Yao Yao ran into sight as she yelled. She put on a charming, innocent smile as soon as she spotted Grand Secretary Feng in the pavilion. However, she looked disgusted as soon as she noticed Feng Wu. Feng Wu, what are you doing here? Frowning, Mu Yao Yao glared at Feng Wu. Feng Wu shrugged. None of your business, girl. Grandpa, what's she doing here at this early hour? Mu Yao Yao hurled the question at Grand Secretary Feng. The old man was displeased. All men had preferences, and, compared with Mu Yao Yao, the old man liked Feng Wu much better as a granddaughter. For Feng Wu fitted the image of an outstanding youngster. At the age of 13, the girl was brilliant, beautiful, adorable, talented, capable, level-headed, and knew what she was doing. The list simply went on and on. Whereas Mu Yao Yao, she was nothing but a spoiled girl who only wanted more things. Taking that into consideration, the old man liked Feng Wu even more. Hence, he frowned at Mu Yao Yao. Do you want to talk to me? Hearing that question, Mu Yao Yao immediately forgot about Feng Wu. Running up to Grand Secretary Feng, she held the old man's arm. Grandpa, I brought you someone. I'm sure you'll be glad to meet him. I'm your granduncle. The old man corrected her. Mu Yao Yao ignored the reminder. She went on swaying Grand Secretary Feng's arm back and forth. Grandpa, Aren't you going back to your hometown after you retire? You're going to sell this house, aren't you? How about you don't sell it? Can you give it to me, please? Give it to you? Excuse me? Feng Wu threw a dirty look at Mu Yao Yao. The area under these buildings was filled with top-grade spiritual stones. Give it to her. Grand Secretary Feng frowned a little. Grandpa, can I have it? Mu Yao Yao sounded disappointed, but she cheered up almost right away. Grandpa, it's all right if you can't give it to me, but you have to promise me something. At those words, Mu Yao Yao turned around and said to a middle-aged man, whom she had led into the house, Chief Yao, this is Grand Secretary Feng, my grandpa. Mu Yao Yao then said to Grand Secretary Feng, Grandpa, this is Yao Zhong, the current chief of the Yao clan, who's from the eldest branch of the clan. Their family business is very famous in the Imperial capital. They have shops all over the empire, and they're one of the 3 largest businesses. Grand Secretary Feng frowned and stopped Mu Yao Yao with a wave of his hand. I'm not that old yet, and I know what the Yao clan does for a living, Grand Secretary Feng said impatiently. Cut to the chase. All right. Mu Yao Yao was noticeably crestfallen. Sensing Feng Wu's gaze, Mu Yao Yao glared at her. She went on, Grandpa, isn't your house for sale? Chief Yao is very interested. The frown on Grand Secretary Feng's face grew bigger. Feng Wu was going to stay out of it at first, but she pricked up her ears when the house was mentioned. She had to have this house, and no one could take it from her. Despite her determination, Feng Wu maintained her indifferent demeanor and didn't let her emotions show. Grand Secretary Feng said nothing, which Mu Yao Yao took as him considering the offer. She smiled. Chapter 638, To Tell You the Truth. Chapter 638, To Tell You the Truth. Grandpa, isn't your house for sale already? You can sell it to the Yao family now. They're very rich people. Mu Yao Yao gave Chief Yao a look, prompting him to speak. Chief Yao smiled. Grand Secretary Feng, I heard that this house is selling for 10,000 taels of silver. Well, the Yao clan is willing to give you 1,000,000 silver taels, together with a 10,000-year-old Lingji mushroom and a blood ginseng. 10 times. The Yao clan was offering a price 10 times what was asked for. They weren't buying a house. They were dumping money on the old man. Feng Wu was alarmed. Could it be that the Yao family had learned of the possible treasure hidden in this house? Otherwise, why would they offer an exorbitantly high price? This didn't make sense. Grand Secretary Feng thought the same. He gestured an empty chair in front of him. Flattered, Chief Yao only sat down after politely declining at first. Why? Grand Secretary Feng neither rejected nor accepted the offer at once. Instead, he studied Chief Yao with a brooding look in his eyes, which had seen a fair share of the world during his long career as a politician. Chief Yao said, Grand Secretary Feng, your manor has great feng shui. With the lake at the front and the mountains in the distance, feng shui-wise, the residence is such an auspicious place. That's it, Grand Secretary Feng, to tell you the truth, Chief Yao said with a wry smile. With my family's business, we've accumulated some wealth over the years, but the kids of the younger generation haven't been doing well in their studies. Only a handful of them have gotten into Imperial College, and the future of the clan doesn't look very promising. We thought that maybe if we bought your house, the kids could gain from this association with you. Maybe they could do better. That's it. Grand Secretary Feng repeated the question, but the look in his eyes was more stern now. To Feng Wu, Grand Secretary Feng was an amiable elderly man who was a little proud at times, but to Chief Yao, he was the old Grand Secretary. To be able to work as a Grand Secretary, the old man was anything but ordinary. He had to be exceptionally circumspect and far-seeing to manage all his subordinates, not to mention that he had managed to retire peacefully. With all the experience he had accumulated over the years, a fraction of his majestic demeanor was enough to intimidate Chief Yao here. Under Grand Secretary Feng's wise, piercing gaze, Chief Yao felt suffocated. He flinched. The old man might be retired, but he was no less frightening than when he had held that post. Chief Yao had no choice but to tell the truth. I overheard that there's a big secret hidden in this house, and the Fong family hasn't been able to solve it. So, Grand Secretary Fong turned his sharp gaze on Mu Yao Yao. Lady Mu Yao Yao's mother, had grown up in the Fong manor, which is why she knew about it. Your mother told him that. Grandpa, mother did tell me about it, but haven't you been unable to solve it? If we wait any longer, it'll bring the Fong family ill fortune. Grandpa, just sell the house to the Yao clan. How much do they pay you? Grand Secretary Fong asked in an emotionless, unhurried tone. Grandpa, I didn't. Mu Yao Yao tried to play the innocent girl again. Grand Secretary Fong snorted. As the saying went, money makes the world go round. Someone like Mu Yao Yao would never offer her help without enough financial incentive. Grand Secretary Fong waved his hand. See them out. Grandpa, Grandpa. Chapter 639. You'll send hit men after me. Chapter 639. You'll send hit men after me. However reluctant Mu Yao Yao was, she was still dragged out by Steward Fong. Grand Secretary Fong. Feng Wu wanted to say something, but the old man wasn't in the mood. He was so disappointed. Lady Mu wasn't his own daughter, but he had brought her up himself, and what she had tried to do to him was unbelievable. Grand Secretary Fong waved his hand, indicating that Feng Wu should keep her silence. Lord Mu is the patron of the Yao clan's business. Grand Secretary Fong snorted. Mu Yao Yao is trying to take the house for herself through the Yao clan. She thinks I can't see through her little scam. Why couldn't she just say so if she wanted to buy the house herself? Why did she have to go through a third party? And she pretended she had no part in it. That innocent look she had faked was ridiculous. Grand Secretary Fong, don't be mad. Mu Yao Yao can have her own plan, and so can you. Feng Wu shrugged. But I'll have to sell this house eventually, and it has to happen within 2 weeks. Grand Secretary Fong sighed. Otherwise, I fear that the curse will fall on Xin. Grand Secretary Fong said in resignation, but I can't just sell it to anyone. There are rules. First of all, the buyer has to be a master-level formation master. Then, they have to be compatible with the aura of the house. Moreover, Grand Secretary Fong shifted his gaze to Feng Wu as he spoke. Old master, oh my. Grand Secretary Fong smacked the table. The answer was right in front of my eyes all along. Xiao Wu, you fit the criteria to the T. To the T, that's right. Grand Secretary Fong asked. Aren't you a master-level formation master? I am. And are you not compatible with the aura of the manor? I am. And the Lingji mushroom and blood ginseng. Actually, I do have them. Problem solved. Grand Secretary Fong had always been a free spirit, and he had only become more capricious after retirement. Seeing that Feng Wu was hesitant, he made the decision for her. What more do we need? I'm giving the house to you for free. For free. Feng Wu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. You declined 1,000,000 taels of silver from the Yao family, and you're giving the house to me for nothing. Well, you're a very likable kid. Grand Secretary Fong told the old steward to get a pen and paper ready. The old steward came back with the stationery shortly afterward. What a willful old man. He wanted to give the house away, and he began to draft the official document right away. He finished it in no time. Feng Wu took a look and saw that it was very succinct. She was to accept the house free of charge, no obligations attached. Here, sign it. The old man handed the writing brush to Feng Wu. Sign here, and we'll go change the title deed to your name. Then it's yours. What are you waiting for, kiddo? Are you not happy with a big house with great feng shui? The old man teased. Feng Wu would be lying if she said that she wasn't tempted. She had no idea why, but she just kept running into good people. Mu Yao Yao was family, but instead of selling it to that girl, Grand Secretary Fong was giving the house to Feng Wu as a gift. Why? Are you so happy that you're going to cry? The old man chuckled when he saw the dazed look on Feng Wu's face. Feng Wu bit her lip and handed the paper back to him. What's wrong? The old man was bewildered. Feng Wu said, If I sign this now, you'll send hit men after me later. Chapter 640, The Big Secret. Chapter 640, The Big Secret. Why would I? Grand Secretary Fong looked at Feng Wu in bewilderment. Feng Wu had planned to tell Grand Secretary Fong the truth, or she wouldn't have deliberately jumped out of the dry well. She grinned at Grand Secretary Fong. Haven't you been searching for the secret of this manor? Grand Secretary Fong's pupils contracted at Feng Wu's words. Do you know anything about that? He found Feng Wu's question dubious. Feng Wu nodded. I do. The look on Grand Secretary Fong's face changed instantly. He couldn't believe it. No one who had lived in this manor had been able to find the secret. How could a girl as young as Feng Wu? Follow me, please. Feng Wu took the old man by his hand and led him to the dry well. The old man was confused. Now jump. Feng Wu was going to take the old man down the well with her. The old steward interjected. Miss Feng Wu, please don't. My old master is. However, Grand Secretary Fong cut him short. I'm sure Xiao Wu has her reasons. I'll go have a look. Being a free spirit, Grand Secretary Fong had only become more capricious these days and wouldn't haggle over trifles. No one would expect the once Grand Secretary of the Empire to do such a reckless thing. He felt something strange as soon as they landed at the bottom of the dry well. Feng Wu tilted her head and grinned. Old master, can you feel anything different? The spiritual essence down here seems to be denser. Is this a place designed for cultivation? Grand Secretary Fong looked pleasantly surprised. Feng Wu snapped her fingers. Feng Tutu dashed off from Feng Wu's chest pocket and began to dig into the ground. However, Grand Secretary Fong's attention had been drawn to the walls of the well. As he felt his way around, he cried out in surprise. The rocks used to build these walls are really unusual. They look like crude spiritual stones. Wait, they are crude spiritual stones. Grand Secretary Fong was pleasantly surprised. So, this well was built with crude spiritual stones. How extravagant. Feng Wu only smiled. The old man sighed with emotion. If my guess is correct, these are all crude, top-grade spiritual stones. Gosh, that's incredible. The stones alone are worth more than this manor. Kiddo, you've got sharp eyes. Feng Wu was still grinning. Just then, there was a whooshing sound. Feng Tutu jumped out from under the ground and ran up to Grand Secretary Fong. Grand Secretary Fong's eyes widened at the sight of Feng Tutu. Right now, Feng Tutu had a bib around its neck, which resembled the pouch of a kangaroo. In its mouth was a spiritual stone, and the pocket of the bib was filled with spiritual stones as well. Grand Secretary Fong, as experienced as the old man was, he had rarely seen such high-quality spiritual stones before. This, Grand Secretary Fong was surprised. Old Master, what do you think of these stones? Picking up Feng Tutu, Feng Wu put the cub in Grand Secretary Fong's hands. With the top-grade spiritual stone in its mouth, Feng Tutu looked like it was eating a pancake. Its eyes were so innocent, and it had such a confused look on its face. Taking a stone out of Feng Tutu's bib, Grand Secretary Fong looked at it closely. He was even more amazed. They're top-grade spiritual stones, every single one of them. Xiao Wu were... Chapter 641. I'll take it. Chapter 641. I'll take it. Old Master, you've seen it yourself, Feng Wu said in a calm, earnest tone as she gestured at their surroundings at the bottom of the well. She was right. There was no reason for Grand Secretary Fong to doubt her. What's underneath here, putting an open palm on the ground, Grand Secretary Fong extended his spiritual essence downward. Beyond layer of rocks, he reached an open space. Grand Secretary Fong's sight was filled with green, as in the color of the best jade stones. This, even a man like him, who had seen his fair share of the world, couldn't help but cry out in surprise. Are they all spiritual stones? Beneath this manor? Judging by the consistency of the color, they were all medium grade or above. Feng Wu nodded with a smile. Grand Secretary Fong didn't know what to say. He was so astonished that his knees buckled and he fell on his but on the ground. Old master, Feng Wu wanted to help him to his feet, but the old man waved her off. No, please don't. He expanded his search from the dry well as the center. At first, he thought that there were spiritual stones stashed underground, but what he discovered after his investigation took him by surprise. It's a lode, and an unmined one. Feng Wu nodded. The old man took a deep breath. That's just so. He had never expected this to be the secret that the family had been trying to figure out for generations. Grand Secretary Fong had investigated the underground area before and had even dug up the ground, but those attempts had all been futile. He only realized today that it was because he had used the wrong entrance. This dry well was the real entrance to that lode. Kiddo, you really are. Was this what a Phoenix girl was like? Exactly how lucky was she? How did you find out? Grand Secretary Fong was much calmer after coming back up from the dry well, and he asked Feng Wu the question with a smile. Feng Wu shrugged. I was sitting on the wall one day, and I saw a flash in that dry well. Based on the time, the direction, and the terrain, I was pretty sure I knew what it was. Moreover, there was Feng Tutu. Feng Wu rubbed the cub's head. Treasure hunting is in its nature. It went in and came back up with a top-grade spiritual stone. There was no question. We have a load of top-grade spiritual stones under our feet. But you still decline my offer when you know what's hidden underground. Grand Secretary Fong sighed with emotion. In terms of money, the spiritual stones down there was worth the income of a small country. However, not only had the girl refused the gift, she also shared the secret with him. Grand Secretary Fong had always liked the kid, and now he thought the world of her. More importantly, she was kind and had a noble heart. Who wouldn't like such a child? Sign this. Grand Secretary Fong handed Feng Wu the grant agreement. Feng Wu's eyes opened wide. Old master, do you know what you're doing? You have a top-grade spiritual stone lode under your house, and you're giving everything to me? Grand Secretary Fong said grumpily, you shared such a big secret with me. I'm not going to act like a stingy man. Others have searched for generations, but remained clueless. Whereas you did nothing but sit on that wall, and you solved the mystery. That's just fate. Or, shall we say, the lode was meant to be yours all along. Chapter 642, Mu Jiuzhou. Chapter 642, Mu Jiuzhou. Grand Secretary Fong sighed. At this point in my life, I'm happy enough to know what that secret is. It would be too greedy of me to try to keep it to myself. I might lose a few years of my life if I did that. Now sign this, please. Seeing that the old man was sincere in his offer, Feng Wu thought that she would look contentious if she continued to decline it. Feng Wu was a free spirit herself, and she nodded. Old master, I'll take it. She could always treat Grand Secretary Fong even nicer and take care of him for as long as he lived. Good. Grand Secretary Fong was delighted and decided to share a secret with Feng Wu. Guess what? I did quite a lot of research, and I discovered a legend about this land under our feet. A legend? Feng Wu batted her eyelashes, which reminded one of two little fans. Have you heard of Mu Jiuzhou, who once ruled this continent? Grand Secretary Fong's tone was full of respect. Mu Jiuzhou? Feng Wu's eyes widened and her face stiffened with excitement. Of course she had. Mu Jiuzhou, the one-time ruler of the continent, was none other than her beautiful master, who was lying on a bed in her ring right now. Feng Wu stared at Grand Secretary Fong nervously. Needless to say, Grand Secretary Fong had no idea that the person he was gossiping about was close at hand. He went on, according to unofficial records a long time ago, before the Junwu Empire was established, this land we're living in now had been destroyed once before, with everything burnt to the ground. And the great Mu Jiuzhou was the cause of the calamity. He single-handedly started a war that wiped out the continent. Feng Wu clenched her fists. Her beautiful master was awesome. Yes, he killed all 12 supreme cultivators of the continent, along with numerous capable people. Blood flowed like rivers, and the whole continent was shaken. However, during that war, it was said that Mu Jiuzhou lost the person he treasured the most. He treasured the most? Who was that? Was it a man or a woman? Feng Wu stared at Grand Secretary Fong, feeling nervous. A woman, I suppose, Grand Secretary Fong said after some thought. None of this is official, and I'm not sure how accurate the record is. It's said that he lost the love of his life in that war, and he shed a teardrop for her. Grand Secretary Fong pointed at the dry well. Maybe the load was created out of that teardrop. Feng Wu was speechless. The love of his life, the love of his life. Who was she? Are you sure that Mu Jiuzhou used to have a woman he loved? Feng Wu asked quietly. Her head had gone blank, and her chest fell hollow. That history was buried with all the fallen heroes, and so few people are still around to remember it. If we can find Mu Jiuzhou's pupils, perhaps they can tell us a few things. But Grand Secretary Fong smiled bitterly. His pupils are probably the most superior rulers of different regions on this continent. They're so beyond our reach now. Feng Wu could think of nothing but her beautiful master's teardrop. Her ethereal, godlike, beautiful master had cried for a woman. Who on earth was she? Feng Wu? Little Feng Wu? Grand Secretary Fong poked Feng Wu's forehead with a finger. Yes. Feng Wu came back to herself. You were saying? Nothing, really. Grand Secretary Fong waved his hand. The exam results will be out today, and you should head back home. You're going to have a busy day, with all the people rushing over to congratulate you. Feng Wu gave him a wry smile. She didn't think that would happen. Chapter 643. Feng Wu, the Legendary Genius. Chapter 643. Feng Wu, the Legendary Genius. However, she decided to go back home now, so that she could keep an eye on Lady Wang in case the woman tried to target her again. Uncle Chiu and Xiuling had left already, for Feng Wu's exam result was the most important thing to them at the moment. As soon as they left, Chaoga dragged Feng Wu out to see the results as well. There was a huge crowd outside the gate of Imperial College. Uncle Chiu, there's so many people. We can't get close enough. Xiuling jumped and pushed, but it was too packed for her to make her way through the crowd. People kept getting pushed back and forth in the crowd. Those who made it laughed, and those who failed cried. Uncle Chiu, look, there are people from the Mu family. Mu Yaoyao was a candidate, and her family had sent people out here early that morning. And the Duan family, too. Xiuling then spotted the sisters of the Duan family. Everyone took the exam very seriously. The results are out. Just then, the gate opened, and a team of people wearing a special uniform of Imperial College came out. The scroll in their hands was so long that it took all 10 of them together to put it up. The results. Look. Many began to push forward frantically. In order to see the results before anyone else, Xiuling pushed with all her might. It was too dangerous. Feng Wu reached out and pulled her back. Miss, Xiuling was thrilled to see Feng Wu. Miss Wu, the results are out. Let me check it for you. Let me go in. Feng Wu looked at her petite maid in resignation. Are you trying to kill yourself? Look at that crowd. You're not going anywhere. But, no buts. Stay put. Miss, don't you want to know the result? Feng Wu snapped. I know the result. I'm first. There's no need to push through all those people. She was only telling the truth, but they weren't the only people here. Feng Wu heard a snicker as soon as she said those words. She and Chaoga turned around to find the sisters of the Duan family. Duan Xiaoyin and Duan Xiaoyue. Their servants had run into the crowd to check the results, and the two of them were waiting in the shade. It just so happened that they were standing next to Feng Wu and overheard her. Oh my, I was wondering who said that. Isn't it Feng Wu, the legendary genius? Duan Xiaoyin giggled. What did I hear? Feng Wu said she was first. Duan Xiaoyue snickered. Chaoga flared up at the sight of the two girls, and she glared at them. Hey, Duan Xiaoyue, Duan Xiaoyin, what are you laughing at? Duan Xiaoyin smiled at Duan Xiaoyue. Some people are just so stupid. We've been laughing for so long, and she doesn't even know what it's about. Duan Chaiwa tittered. Chaoga raised her hand in a threatening manner. But Duan Chaoyin wasn't intimidated, nor was she afraid of the humiliation. For to her mind, Feng Wu and Chaoga would be even more humiliated. Everyone, look, Feng Wu the genius wants to beat us up because she didn't get into Imperial College. Feng Wu the genius. Most people wouldn't have paid any attention if Duan Chaoyin hadn't mentioned Feng Wu's name. After all, everyone only cared about looking for their names on that list. Chapter 644, More Laughter. Chapter 644, More Laughter. But Feng Wu the genius. Which Feng Wu? That Feng Wu, the one who was mistaken for using a fake exam permit. What genius? Isn't she crippled? She can think of herself as a genius all she wants. What did I hear? Feng Wu the genius failed the exam? What do you expect? It's only natural that she failed. Instantly, all eyes were on Feng Wu. Well, I was wondering who was making all the noise. It was you. A voice rang out behind Feng Wu. It was kind of familiar, but not really. Feng Wu turned her head and recognized the person. It was Yi Yifei, the one who had had a confrontation with Feng Wu before. She was already a first-year student at Imperial College, but those around her were all candidates this year, and she was their leader. Behind her were Hua Yin and the others. Yi Yifei had been grounded by her family for a while because of what happened at World Tower. Hence, she held Feng Wu responsible for it. Feng Wu, do you have no shame at all? How dare you say you can get into Imperial College? Duan Chaoyin was delighted to have an ally, and she smirked. Get into Imperial College? According to her, she got the highest score in the exam. Ha. All four people behind Yi Yifei guffawed. Yi Yifei laughed until she was in tears. Passing the exam is already impossible for you. Getting the highest score? Gosh, Feng Wu, have you been practicing how to be more shameless all these years? Before Feng Wu replied, Chaoga retorted, You people are all idiots. Xiao Wu is first, so what? You're all just jealous. Ha. First? Feng Wu? Mu Yaoyao heard the noise and came up to them. She arrived just in time to hear what Duan Chaoga said, and she cracked up. I'll give Feng Wu my head if she gets the highest score in the written exam. You mean it? Feng Wu spoke for the first time. She fixed her gaze on Mu Yaoyao with a tiny smile on her face. Mu Yaoyao was very confident about her source of information. She had searched from the first name to the last on that list which had come out of Imperial College earlier. And Feng Wu's name wasn't there. So, she smirked. Deal. I'll cut my head off if you're first in the written exam. Make it into a stool or a football all you want. But if you're not, putting her hands behind her back, Mu Yaoyao darted a contemptuous look at Feng Wu. Her voice turned cold. I'll cut your head off. Everyone's stomachs lurched. That was a big deal. Just then, Lady Wang and Feng Lu arrived at the scene. Feng Lu was going to join the fight, but Lady Wang stopped her with a shake of her head. Mu Yaoyao was challenging Feng Wu, and that was great. Chaoga tugged at Feng Wu nervously. Xiuling and Feng Xiaoqi also looked at Feng Wu, both concerned. Sister, don't. Feng Xiaoqi tugged at Feng Wu's sleeve and shook his head repeatedly. Sister, her head isn't worth it. Yours is much more precious. Just ignore her. The onlookers guffawed. Mu Yaoyao was infuriated. Chapter 645. Was Feng Wu on the list? Chapter 645. Was Feng Wu on the list? The boy said that her life wasn't as valuable as Feng Wu's. She was a princess and the daughter of Lord Mu. Feng Wu was nothing but a cripple. Mu Yaoyao smirked. Feng Wu, are you in or not? Feng Wu shook her head. Well, I don't mind the bet, but what if you deny it afterward? I swear upon this. Mu Yaoyao smacked a wooden token of the Moon Manor on the table. The servants had all gone off to see the list, and Feng Wu and the others were all waiting in a tea house now. I, Mu Yaoyao, swear upon the honor of the Moon Manor. If I lose the bet and won't acknowledge it, my father will lose his title. Everyone here is witness. Mu Yaoyao glared at Feng Wu in a provoking manner. She wanted to kill Feng Wu right now. If Feng Wu took the bet, Mu Yaoyao would cut her head off later without hesitation. Witnesses aren't enough, said Feng Wu. Let's put it on paper. No problem. Mu Yaoyao was thrilled to hear that. You want it written down? You got it. Mu Yaoyao had someone fetch her a pen and paper, and she sat down to write. She finished in no time. Mu Yaoyao then handed the agreement to Feng Wu. Deal. After making sure that Mu Yaoyao had written down everything she said, Feng Wu nodded. The agreement was done in duplicate, and everyone here was witness. Can we join in as well? Yi Yifei asked all of a sudden. Feng Wu glanced at Yi Yifei. What are your terms? I'm not betting with you. Your life is Princess Mu's already. I want Duan Chaoga. Yi Yifei still held a grudge against Duan Chaoga, and she smirked. I'll destroy my cultivation achievements myself if Duan Chaoga gets into Imperial College this time. If she doesn't, she'll have to destroy hers. I'm betting against Duan Chaoga, too. Duan Chaoyin snorted. I'll do everything she asks if she gets in. Otherwise, she'll be my slave. You would like that, wouldn't you? Bring it on. Chaoga sneered. I'll take the bet. Just then, the results are out. The results are out. Mu Yaoyao's servant ran back to her in a hurry. Zhao Yang, how did I do? Mu Yaoyao asked in a confident voice. She had seen the earlier version of the list and was very sure of herself. Princess, you're 98th. Zhao Yang said cheerfully. Princess, with that score, you'll be in the best class. The ranking wasn't the same as what Mu Yaoyao had read, but it was similar enough, which convinced her further. She kept her eyes on Feng Wu as she asked Zhao Liang the second question. So, did you see this Miss Feng Wu's name on that list? Mu Yaoyao's voice was full of sarcasm and contempt. Only the top 1,000 candidates' names were on that list, and Feng Wu wasn't one of them. Hence, she would have Feng Wu's head today. Mu Yaoyao began to draw a dagger out of her sleeve. The sharp blade glinted in the sunlight. All eyes were on Zhao Yang, and they were waiting for him to say no. However, everyone was disappointed. Yes, Zhao Yang said affirmatively. Chapter 646, Who's First? Chapter 646, Who's First? What? Shocked, Mu Yaoyao's hand jolted and the sharp blade nicked her fingertip. But she couldn't care less about that. Glaring at Zhao Yang, she bellowed, What did you say? Frightened by Mu Yaoyao's bellow, Zhao Yang looked at his master in bewilderment. What did you say? Say it again. Is Feng Wu on that list? Mu Yaoyao approached Zhao Yang with the dagger in her hand. Zhao Yang was terrified. He had no idea what he had done wrong. He was only telling the truth. Why, yes, Miss Feng Wu's name really is on that list, and it's the first name in the top row. Her name is bigger than anyone else's, with thicker strokes. Everyone has seen it. Mu Yaoyao almost had a stroke. Everyone else stared at Feng Wu in disbelief. The first name in the first row, in bigger writing than the others, and in thicker strokes. What did that mean? Isn't that only for the top candidate? Yi Yifei was still trying to digest the information. Wait, Feng Wu got the highest score? You gotta be kidding me. She's the least possible candidate. I bet Princess Mu's servant doesn't know what he's talking about. I don't believe it. Everyone was whispering at the same time. As the center of attention, Feng Wu only stood there with a calm smile on her face. She didn't seem disturbed at all. Tell me again, what's Feng Wu's ranking? Mu Yaoyao pointed her dagger at Zhao Yang. First, Zhao Yang was almost in tears. He was only telling the truth. Why was the princess acting like a crazy person? How could Mu Yaoyao not be? She had just made a very heavy bet. Ha ha, no way. I don't believe it. Feng Wu can't be first. She just can't. I won't believe it even if you kill me. Mu Yaoyao guffawed. She had seen the list, and Feng Wu wasn't even in the top 1,000. Just then, Yi Yifei's servant came back in a hurry. Miss, Yi Yifei cut him off in a loud voice. Hold it. Just tell me who's first. Yi Gui, Yi Yifei's servant, blurted out. Feng Wu. The first is Feng Wu, as in the phoenix soars above the land. It's quite a catchy name. Yi Yifei was rendered speechless. So was everyone else. No, Mu Yao Yao felt as if she had just been struck by a thunderbolt and her head was spinning. No, no, no. I don't believe it. I don't. She squeezed into the crowd like a wild animal. And she was still holding that dagger. The blade was very sharp, and it could cut through anything. With the dagger in Mu Yao Yao's hand, as she howled like a mad person, no one wanted to stand in her way. Hence, she managed to make her way through the crowd rather smoothly. As Mu Yao Yao rushed off to see the list, many began to study Feng Wu. The looks they gave her were a mix of suspicion, uneasiness, and bewilderment. Feng Wu passed the written exam and got the highest score. No, it couldn't be. Something had to be wrong. Just then, Duan Xiaoyin's maid came back as well, panting as she ran. Miss, I've seen the results. Everyone turned to her. Hold on. Tell us now. Who's first? Chapter 647, The Mysterious Man. Chapter 647, The Mysterious Man. Xiaowan, the maid, was a timid girl. She was shaken by all the eyes on her. Feng Wu. She gave the answer. And everyone was shocked again. It was Feng Wu. It was Feng Wu. It was Feng Wu. If only one person gave that answer, they might be lying, but these people had given the same answer repeatedly. Could all of them be lying? Just then, someone shouted at the crowd gathering around the list. Hey, who's first on that list? And the crowd shouted back in unison, Feng Wu. The sound resonated in the air. To say that Yi Yifei had drained of all color would be an understatement. And the same went for Duan Xiaoyin and Duan Xiaoyue. These people all stared at Feng Wu as if they had seen a ghost. How could this be? How? Why Feng Wu? They couldn't imagine how this could have happened. It was incredible. Meanwhile, Mu Yao Yao had arrived at the foot of the bulletin board where the list was posted. After pushing through the crowd, her hair was unkempt, her clothes disheveled, and her face contorted. She stared at the first name in the first row of the list. The name was written in thick strokes, and bigger than the other names. It was Feng Wu. It was Feng Wu. It was Feng Wu. No matter how many times she rubbed her eyes, the name didn't change. She hadn't read it wrong. It was indeed Feng Wu. Feng Wu was first. No, Mu Yao Yao spat out a mouthful of blood onto the list, and the bright yellow paper was painted red. Everyone else failed to recognize her, and they cried out in surprise. Who's the nut job? Some loony who failed the exam, I think. Everyone can take the exam up to 3 times. No? Try again. Mu Yao Yao could barely stand still. Feng Wu was first, she was first. Her head spun, and Mu Yao Yao almost fainted. Princess. Her servants rushed to her side in a hurry to stop her from falling. The others were shocked by her reaction. Who's that? Isn't she the princess of the Mu Manor? Princess Mu Yao Yao? But she's on that list. 98th, isn't it? What's with her anger? You missed the show. Princess Mu made a bet with Feng Wu. Really? On what? On whether or not Feng Wu could get in. Feng Wu? The Feng Wu? Of course she can't. Bah, are you blind? Look, the first name on the list. Holy shit. Feng Wu. That's Feng Wu. You don't say. Princess Mu bet her own head, and she's in a lot of trouble now. Is she going to die now? Is it really Feng Wu? Could it be a mistake or something? Maybe it's a different person with the same name. A different person? Yes, that was possible. Mu Yao Yao, who almost had a nervous breakdown, saw hope again. However, you idiot, a different person? The names come with their serial numbers. Okay. Feng Wu entered the exam on recommendation, and her serial number is very unique. It's 10,001. Look, it's her name and her serial number. Mu Yao Yao blanched. Meanwhile, a few steps away. Chapter 648, Your Majesty. Chapter 648, Your Majesty. It was an old man wearing a skull cap and a casual outfit, but his eyes looked exceptionally sagacious. Behind him was an elderly steward, who was bent respectfully toward his master. If one looked closely, they would spot quite a few capable cultivators who were scanning the perimeter with their piercing eyes. They were scattered among the crowd and looking in different directions, but they always kept an eye on the wise-looking old man. The old man himself was rather relaxed and even tried to strike up a conversation with those around him. He asked curiously, "Did this Princess Mu really bet her own life?" The onlooker, he asked, was the gossipy type who pulled the old man a little further away from the crowd before whispering in an excited voice, "Oh yeah, she did. They put it down on paper." The sagacious old man looked intrigued. "Did they?" "Sir, you've asked the right person. I witnessed the whole thing. Here's what happened. Princess Mu here provoked Miss Feng Wu first, saying that she would cut her whole head off and give it to Miss Feng Wu as a football if Miss Feng Wu could make it onto the list this time." "Oh my," the old man cried out in surprise. "That's right. Miss Feng Wu didn't respond at first, but Princess Mu wouldn't let it drop. She practically forced Miss Feng Wu to say yes. What was more, Princess Mu Yao Yao even made a solemn oath, saying that if she refused to acknowledge the bet afterward, her father would lose his title." The old man sounded shocked. "Seriously?" The chief steward looked up at the sky in resignation. "Isn't it a little inappropriate to gossip like this, Your Majesty?" Naturally, the onlooker had no idea that he was talking to the emperor, and he went on in high spirits. "Yes, seriously. Princess Mu just dug her own grave, if you ask me. I'm looking forward to seeing her cut her own head off. Ha ha, well, I'm off. They're going back to the tea house, and I need to get there before the front row seats are taken." "Which tea house? Why, you want to go too? Come with me, then. It's just over there." Taking His Majesty's hand, the onlooker dragged the emperor through the crowd. Speechless, the chief steward watched as his emperor marched cheerfully into the crowd. Guards of the Secret Service narrowed their eyes in a threatening manner. With one sweep of their hands, this ignorant onlooker wouldn't know what killed him. They gave the chief steward inquiring looks. The chief steward shook his head. The best seats had been taken when Emperor Wu got there, and they could only stand in the second row. By then, everyone had learned that Feng Wu had gotten the highest score in the written exam. It wasn't another person with the same name, and she was unmistakably first. Throwing off the servant supporting her, Mu Yao Yao rushed up to Feng Wu with eyes that could spit fire. She ranted, "Feng Wu, you cheated." All eyes were on Feng Wu after those words. So, she was able to get such good grades because she cheated in the exam. Hidden among the commoners in his skullcap and casual outfit, the emperor looked at Mu Yao Yao in disappointment. He recalled that it was only the other day that the empress had recommended this girl to him, praising the girl for how comely, docile, and well-behaved she was so that the crown prince could consider the girl as a future imperial concubine. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.